Luke Bonfield has homered in consecutive ball games. It was his 2-run homer last night to help lift Arkansas to an 8-6 victory over Georgia. Today, the Bulldogs give the ball to their freshman right-hander, Emerson Hancock, as he tries to even up the series. It's number 6 Arkansas and number 13 Georgia in Game 2 today at Foley Field. Look at the standings. Arkansas, if they can win today, get a loss from Ole Miss, they'll clinch the Western Division title for the first time since 2011. Georgia can clinch a top 4 spot in the SEC tournament with a win or losses by South Carolina, Vandy, Auburn, and LSU. And good afternoon. I'm Matt Stewart, joined by former Georgia Bulldogs standout catcher, coach, and 2-time Mets minor league all-star Jason Jacobs. And Jason, last night Bulldogs 8-6 loss, just uncharacteristically not sharp in the series opener.
Yeah, they had a really tough 7th inning, just a couple of pass balls, a few miscues, but you got to credit Arkansas and their offense, able to take advantage of it and really put the game away.
Arkansas coach Dave Van Horn said they didn't play that well, but they did display their quick strike ability with their offense.
Yeah, did a great job jumping out to an early lead after kind of a weird play at first base that allowed a runner to reach. Got the 2-run lead. Georgia was able to come back, score 4, and have a lead. But then in the 7th inning, you see Bonfield there with a big 2-run blast, put them up 5-4 at that point. And then the triple right here on a misplayed ball in center field led to a couple of more runs, and Georgia just unable to come back after that 7th inning.
And Georgia's 6-4 freshman Emerson Hancock will be going up against that potent Arkansas lineup today. And Jason, we can, in remembering what the U.S. Supreme Court did this week, legalizing gambling in all the states if they want to, if you're going to bet on a Georgia Bulldog to get to the majors, this would be the guy that you put your money on.
Yeah, and he's having a great freshman year, so shows a lot of maturity for a freshman. Good poise and command. You see the fastball there electric at 90 to 94. Good changeup, good slider to accompany that, and he stays in the strike zone for the most part. Young man's gotten better as the season has gone along. I definitely think he is that pro prospect that you mentioned.
Eric Cole going to lead things off for Arkansas. We'll take a look at the full batting order here in just a moment as Cole takes a first pitch ball. And here's the batting order for Arkansas: 4 right-handers, 4 left-handers, and 1 switch hitter, with Cole, the switch hitter, at the top of the order, the junior right fielder. Went 1 for 5 last night. First pitch was a ball. Second pitch is a ball. Cole, with hits in 13 of his last 15 games, really has settled in at the top of the order after Dave Van Horn moved him there in late April. 2 balls and a strike to Eric Cole. Arkansas at 37-15 on the season, 18-10 in the SEC. With their win last night, they matched last year's conference win total. Cole played at famed Carroll High School in Southlake, Texas. 3-1 pitch and a 5-pitch walk from Emerson Hancock. An auspicious start for Hancock. His 32nd walk in 71 innings of work. And here's the freshman Casey Martin coming off a 4 for 5 performance last night. 348, 10 homers, 38 RBI. Along with his freshman partner, Heston Kjerstad. Only 2 D1 freshmen batting .330 plus with 10 plus homers. And they really were impressive last night.
Absolutely. I think Kjerstad had one of the biggest at-bats. We talked about that 7th inning. Fouled some pitches off, found a way to get a single, extend the inning, and able to explode for big runs there.
1-0 pitch. Wow. So 6 of Hancock's first 7 pitches have been balls.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for Hancock. And the misses are kind of big right now, too, which is a little bit concerning. Not sure if he just had a tough time getting into rhythm in his pregame bullpen.
Yeah, no, he was dominant against South Carolina, was dominant against Texas A&M until injuring his ankle in that ball game. He really has not been consistently that same pitcher ever since he injured his ankle back in March.
Yeah, and you don't wonder if it has something to do with that. I think the grind of the season being a little bit longer has a lot to do with it. It's tough for freshmen to kind of go through the whole season and stay sharp because it is something new.
3-0 fastball, 92 in there for a strike, makes it 3-1.
You also got to wonder about this facing the offense that he's facing. I mean, they definitely showed their ability to score runs and score runs in a hurry. So as a freshman, you could go in there a little bit tentative.
Yeah, I think that was what was most stunning about their 6-run 7th inning last night. They're down 4-2, and then 3 batters later, they have a 5-4 lead. Runner was going on the play, so a hit and run. Fouled off by Martin, so now 3-2. Arkansas, one of the top offenses in the conference. Razorbacks second in the league, batting .304. Second in home runs with 77, averaging just over 7 runs per game. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Martin, with Eric Cole already at first base. 3-2, runner going again. Ball in the air and out of play.
That goes to show you the faith that Coach Van Horn has in this young freshman, sending the runner on a 3-1 and then a 3-2. His ability to make contact. He's not going to swing and miss and hang the runner out to dry. And he's also going to have the plate discipline to not venture out of the zone.
Hancock with wins against Toledo, at Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, and at Missouri. All of his losses have come on the road. At College of Charleston, Vandy, Ole Miss, and Florida. His no decisions against Georgia Southern, Charlotte, and Texas A&M. 6-4 record. 3-2, runner going again. That ball is hit in the air, deep left field. McGovern back on the track, has it, and Cole will have to scamper back to first base. Look at the Bulldogs defensively. A little bit of a change with the injury to Tucker Bradley, so Mitchell Webb starting in right field today. Bradley strained that hamstring again last night. Bulldogs team, made one error last night, but there were so many other just uncharacteristic mistakes. Don't count as errors, but mistakes that kind of cost them behind the plate. Mason Meadows probably had one of his poorest performances behind the plate. He'll look to rebound from that today.
Yeah, absolutely. He got crossed up a few times, and I think that got him out of his rhythm just a little bit. As a catcher, that can be a very unsettling feeling when you're not sure that the pitcher's on the same page as you. So I think that had something to do with it, and he looks to bounce back today. But, yeah, you mentioned just uncharacteristic, kind of sloppy play from Georgia, who's been very sharp on defense, and I think that's a big reason why their record is so much improved.
982 their fielding percentage in conference play in the SEC. That's number 1. They're 979 overall, which is on pace to be a new program record. And just furthering the conversation about the uncharacteristic mistakes in that first inning, Sasser let a ball play him rather than play the ball on that weird ground ball you were talking about a few moments ago in the open that led to the 2-run inning. Should have never happened. Meadows gets down and blocks that as Kerstad at the plate. First pitch to him, a strike.
Yeah, it was a strange little cue ball off the end of the bat, and it just ended up hitting off the bag, and what looked like a very easy out turned into a 2-run inning for Arkansas.
Throw over again. Kerstad 2 for 5 with an RBI, run scored last night. And you mentioned it. His 3-2 at-bat base hit in the 7th inning, probably the most crucial and gritty at-bat of the entire game. Luke Bonfield followed it with a 2-run bomb, and that's a bomb down the line in right field, and it is gone. Heston Kerstad. A shot down the right field line, and just like last night, Arkansas has taken a 2-0 lead in the first inning.
And what an adjustment there by Kerstad. Something you don't expect to see from some of your juniors. He gets beat with this very same pitch, kind of down and in on breaking ball before. In the dirt, he chases. Right there, took a little something off it, left it down and in. He was able to stay through it with his hands.
Kerstad, 11th home run of the season, and RBI number 44 and 45. The freshman leads the team and runs batted in.
Yeah, just a great 1-2 punch from a couple of freshmen. Yeah. That's really remarkable what Martin and Kerstad have been able to do.
Wow, and the top 6 of their order last night produced all 11 of their hits in that 8-6 win. Here's Luke Bonfield. And Coach Scott Strickland, talking to us in the dugout prior to this game, said, look, their first 6 in the order, that's the best in all baseball.
Yeah, it'd be tough to top them. They're definitely big-time threats, power. They can run a little bit. They hit for average. Don't swing and miss a whole lot.
Bonfield takes a big cut. Had a chance to visit with him after last night's ball game. Hope you saw the interview on SEC Now. And then we talked to Tony Losey today, the guy who surrendered the home run. Just a little bit of a mistake by Losey, but not a bad pitch. And Bonfield just really showed his strength to bomb it out of here in the deepest portion of the ballpark.
Oh, you got to give him a lot of credit. I think Losey a little upset at himself for missing up, but it was 96.
Yeah.
It was 96 miles an hour, and Bonfield able to get on top of it, stay through it, and go backside bomb in a very deep part of the field.
Count now 2-2 to Bonfield. Bonfield was a big-time prospect coming out of New Jersey. Actually spent his senior year at IMG Academy down in Bradenton. He was a 21st round draft pick by the Mets in 2014, and Baseball America rated him as one of the top 5 prospects that got away. Ended up in college ball that year. Little nubber into center field that could be trouble for the Bulldogs, and it is, as Bonfield muscles that one into shallow center field off his hands, and the third base hit, second base hit, and third base runner of the inning for Arkansas.
Yeah, and you see right there, just like you said, muscling it out there, able to get enough of it, got jammed a little bit, but gets enough of it to dump it in front of C.J. Smith in center and Shepard out there at short. I think right now Hancock a little tentative. I see a lot of off-speed pitches, hasn't really established his fastball yet. I think this Arkansas offense and the threat of that they can produce as many runs as they can has gotten into his head just a little bit.
Dominic Fletcher going to try to bunt his way on. Shunk was playing in at third base, anticipating it. Fletcher out of Cypress, California. He is finishing the season strong. You see the triple last night on a ball that Tucker Maxwell probably misplayed, probably shouldn't have been a triple. It was going to be a base hit. Turns into a triple, just the second of his career.
Yeah, it's kind of the wrong time to take a risk in that situation. Bonfield had just hit the big home run to put Arkansas up by 1. I don't think that's the right time to gamble in that situation. You keep it in front and keep the double play in order.
Last 15 games, Fletcher batting .386 with 12 RBI and 7 extra base hits. This after he hit .190 in the first 17 games of the season. One ball, 2 strikes. Pitch outside and a delay steal as Bonfield takes second base.
Meadows kind of fumbled the exchange here a little bit. Got a pretty good jump there, Bonfield did. But I think Meadows did have a shot if he could have that clean exchange.
I don't know that it was a delayed steal as I described it. He was just, I don't know that he got a great jump, but he got there. 2-2 pitch now as Bonfield's in scoring position, and Fletcher rips that one foul down the right field line. So Hancock not fooling anybody right now.
A lot of his stuff getting hit hard is the off-speed variety, whether it's the changeup that he left up a little bit to Kerstad for the home run. This looks like a changeup right there, just leaves up in the zone.
You were talking about maybe a little tentative. Well, he watched this Arkansas offense last night, so that can go one of 2 ways. You can either pick up and figure out what you want to do against the team, or maybe get a little nervous about facing that team after watching that kind of offense.
Yeah, I think absolutely. You got to stick with your strengths as a pitcher, though.
That ball is hit to deep right center field. Long run. C.J. Smith is going to run it down right in front of the track. Bonfield had gone about halfway, which he perhaps could have tagged had he held the bag, and now there's 2 down.
And both outs have been deep fly balls to the warning track just in front of the wall. So Hancock not quite as sharp as he has been in previous outings. I think, again, you got to establish that fastball. You got to stick with your strengths. He's got a good fastball. You got to use it and then pitch off of it. And right now he seems to be going backwards a little bit too much, which is not necessarily his style.
Carson Shaddy steps to the plate, had the big 2-run single to get the Arkansas rally going early last night. Bonfield off the bag at second, and again Hancock falls behind in the count. You know, Shaddy in that 7 spot, they actually had him batting in the number 9 spot early in the year, and as Coach Dave Van Horn described, they were kind of bushwhacking people because, you figure the number 9 guy is an easy out, and he's just raking and driving in runs from the 9-hole. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-1. They eventually moved him up to the 6 and 7 spot where he's most comfortable. But as we witnessed last night, shows you the genius of Dave Van Horn, knows his guys and knows how the lineup kind of unfolds. Shaddy came up first 3 times up. He had 7 guys on base in front of him. In the air over on the right side, Sasser over by the fence runs out of real estate.
Yeah, it just seems to be with this team and this lineup the perfect spot to have him kind of clean up the rest of the inning. But it always seems like the right guy's up in the right spot. As you mentioned, 7 guys on base for him in his first 3 at-bats. Who else would you rather have up in that situation?
We're playing on a Friday afternoon, by the way, because the scheduled first pitch for this game moved up 4 hours in anticipation of inclement weather later on this evening. I would say something about it. I don't want to jinx us, but I think I just said something about it. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Got him. So Hancock battles back and gets Shaddy. But Heston Kerstad, the freshman, takes Hancock deep to give Arkansas the early 2-0 lead here in the first. Murphy, the junior left-hander, making his 12th start of the season for Arkansas, 6-4 record like Hancock. And Jason, he's a guy that's going to pitch backwards at times today.
Yeah, it's kind of a typical crafty lefty. He's going to move the ball in and out, change speeds, move it back and forth, but pretty steady, pretty consistent. He's got good command all 3 of his pitches. Not anything terribly overpowering. He's going to be in the upper 80s. Can get it up there in the low 90s if he needs to, but he's really going to try and, trick the hitter is maybe the wrong thing to say, but very, very much keep them off balance in a rocking chair, and he's done a good job of it all year long. You see that ERA at 2.3.
Yeah, one of the top ERAs in the conference at 2.30. 12th start. He's got 1 appearance out of the bullpen. 70 in the 3rd innings. He struck out 63, walked just 12. He's one of the tops among starters in the SEC in fewest walks as well. 58 hits. Opponents batting .227 against him. And Georgia sending up the typical lineup there, the 4 right-handers and the 5 left-handers. Except today it's a little bit flipped because now you've got 5 right-handers and 4 left-handers. The big change coming there at the bottom of the order where typically Georgia has a left-handed hitter. They've got the right-handed hitter, Mitchell Webb, playing right field. And C.J. Smith, who was batting 9th last night with Tucker Bradley out, will bat leadoff. C.J. Smith with a 6-game hitting streak for the freshman out of Royston, Georgia. First guy to face Murphy today. C.J. 2 for 3 last night. Had a big RBI single that at the time gave Georgia a 4-2 lead. The second of Georgia's 2-way players, Aaron Shunk being the most notable, but C.J. Smith has been a fine 2-way player for Georgia in his own right. Sliced down the 3rd baseline foul. You see his numbers on the season in limited play, 345 for C.J. Smith. This is just his 14th position start. 20 hits and 58 at-bats with a homer and 7 RBI. He's also made 11 appearances on the mound, 3 of them starts. Swing and a miss, bounces away from Cook, and he will not be able to throw him out. So a strike him out wild pitch, and C.J. Smith on first base. And Arkansas committed 3 errors in their victory last night. It's the 6th time this year that they've committed 3 errors. They got the same defensive lineup except for the fact that Cook is catching today and Gates is starting at first base. Gates finished the game at first base last night.
They made a great pick late in the game.
Yeah, it was crucial in that 7th inning as Georgia was trying to rally. Georgia got a ground out RBI on the ground ball hit by Cam Shepard to Casey Martin, and Martin's throw bounced way out in front of first base, and Gates was able to stay with it. Does he not make that play, the Bulldogs inning might have been more than just one run there.
Yeah, it could have been, would have put the tie and run there at second base as well. So, I'm sorry, on first base at that time.
Aaron Shunk, 20-game hitting streak. Tied for the third longest in the conference this year. He's also had a 16-game hitting streak this year. 2 for 5 last night. 318, couple of homers, 33 RBI. His second home run coming 2 Tuesday nights ago at SunTrust Park when the Bulldogs beat Georgia Tech there to sweep the season series. Backdoor strike on the outside corner with that curveball, 1-2. Smith off first. 1-2 pitch from Murphy. Up in the zone and fouled back. Shunk, second team mid-season All-American. He's Georgia's first two-way player to do it an entire season since Jared Walsh back in 2015, who was a left-handed pitcher and first baseman. 1-2 pitch, ball in the air and down the line in right field, and if it's fair, it's gone, it's fair, and it's gone. Shunk with the two-run homer to tie it right down the right field line.
And we talked about it a little bit after last night's game, just how evenly matched these two clubs are. I think in a different respect, Georgia's offense can be just as good as Arkansas's. And here you see Shunk gets the ball up just a little bit, not quite up high enough. I think Murphy wanted it a little bit higher than that, but able to stay with it and stay through it and ties this ball game up one swing of the bat.
Aaron Shunk with his team-leading 68th hit of the year. His third home run and RBI number 34 and 35 to tie the game at 2. Keegan McGovern takes a big hack and misses. I'd like to see the SEC, I know all of college baseball has the award, but I'd like to see the SEC adopt a two-way Player of the Year award. I think there's enough of it out there, and I think it's something that needs to be recognized. You know, I don't know that Shunk, just based on his offensive numbers alone, playing third base, gets all SEC, but when you look at his entire body of work, the offense, the defense, the pitching, the closing, my goodness, there's got to be something there for him.
Yeah, it definitely adds to value. You talk about like most valuable player. I feel like he's got to be in the tops for this ball club in that he does it on both sides of the ball.
Right. So, like, if you're looking at him all SEC and you're trying to figure out your vote, you can't just look at him and say, oh, does he fit in that third base slot? I mean, there just needs to be a spot for him. Ground ball hit to the shortstop. Kinley, high throw, and Keegan McGovern saved.
You know, it's funny, talking to Coach Strickland before the game, he had mentioned McGovern. We were talking about him mostly defensively, and he mentioned the fact that you don't think he can run as fast as he can because of his size, but he can really move, and he put some pressure right there on Kenley. And you saw Kenley, he didn't really hesitate, but I feel like when he looked up to throw that ball, he saw McGovern down the line so much he overthrew it just a little bit and left it high. McGovern able to put some pressure on him with his speed.
Still waiting to see how they score that. There's Michael Curry, because I think you could go back. Would he have even beaten it out even if the throw had been on target? I think that's a question right there. And I think that's what they're looking at from the official score standpoint.
Absolutely. It was fielded cleanly, and it was close play even on a good throw. Not a for sure gimme play defensively, though, so I think that's kind of the question.
The count now 1-1 to Curry. Here's another look at it. Yeah, I think if the throw's on time and it's right on the mark, I think they get him. Having seen that replay, I think you would have to give Kinley the error right there. Ball in the air and out of play. But they're going to score it a hit.
They are going to score it a hit. I think the one thing is Kenley was on the move, so it was a difficult throw.
Yeah.
And maybe gets the benefit of the doubt on that. And I think McGovern earns that hit maybe because of his speed and his prowess at getting down the base.
Yeah. Kenley playing shortstop this series because Jax Biggers, their everyday shortstop, still out with a fractured finger. 1-2 pitch to Curry off his hands. A little nubber right out in front of the plate. Cook gets out there and throws out Curry. And McGovern goes to second on the swinging bunt. So one down with McGovern now out in scoring position. Out there at second to give Georgia a shot at taking the lead here in the first. Adam Billy Squire Sasser steps into the batter's box.
What a great walk-up song.
No doubt. And it's so old that you can dig it up, and a lot of people are like, man, I've never heard that song before. Not if you're a millennial. Murphy high, 1-0.
You know, they're not really paying much attention to McGovern out there at second base. He might try and time this and take third.
Sasser with a bomb last night, his 9th homer of the season, 2 for 5. McGovern off the bag, the 1-0 pitch, hit hard in the hole, going to get to right field. Cole comes up and charges. Here comes McGovern. Here comes the throw to the plate. They're going to cut it off, and Georgia has a 3-2 lead. Sasser delivers again, his 41st RBI, 26 of which have come in conference play.
And again, this Bulldogs offense it's very potent in its own respect, along with the Arkansas offense. You see right there, they fall behind by 2, come back and tie it, now take the lead, answer back with 3 runs of their own in the bottom half against a very formidable opponent in Murphy, who just surrenders less than 3 per game.
No doubt about it. Murphy coming off a fine performance in his last start, 7 1/3 scoreless innings on 108 pitches in the eventual 3-1 win against Texas A&M last Saturday. And Georgia's already scored 3 runs on him here in a third of an inning.
And how easy would it be for as a Georgia Bulldog? They come out and they score 2 in the top half. Your pitcher doesn't look all that sharp. You kind of feel down, but no, they step right up and answer right back and get in this ball game and take the lead.
Cam Shepard, he belted a 2-run homer last night on the way to finishing 1 for 5. Hits that up the middle. It gets by Kenley. And Sasser will stop at second. First and second for Georgia.
A good piece of hitting right there by Shepard. Seen him move his contact point up a little bit. That was an outside pitch. Normally you'd see him go the other way with that, but moving his contact point up just a little bit, I think in talking to Coach Strickland throughout the season, something that he's been working with Shepard on is maybe getting that contact point a little more out in front, because he gets beat a little bit too deep at times. So you see right there pulling the outside pitch, staying through it up the middle, able to get it by the diving Kenley. And Georgia threatening here again with 1 out in the bottom of the first.
Pitching coach Wes Johnson out there to meet with the entire team in the infield. I don't know, we just kind of had that feeling when we first visited with Dave Van Horn prior to the start of this series yesterday. We're like, Coach, it just seems like every time we get together with you, have these crazy games. And this, last night, 8-6, it was a really funky game with so many weird things that happened defensively. And neither team played great, but one of them had to win, and Arkansas did enough good things, more than Georgia did, to win that game. And then this game starts out today 3-2, and we've only gotten 4 outs. We've had 5 runs and 4 outs recorded.
It's been a very exciting start to a ball game, and I thought last night, even with some of the sloppy play, was still very exciting. You had a lot of good at-bats, a lot of good competition between these two ball clubs.
L.J. Talley lays off the breaking ball, takes a strike. you don't see these kind of games anymore. I mean, this one's looking like a 13-12 kind of game. Now, there might not be another run scored after this inning, but, I mean, it's shaping up like that.
It just seems to be, yeah, you're right. I mean, all of a sudden it could turn into a web gem battle where guys are diving all over. These two teams are just really competing well against each other in all facets of the game.
Both with a lot to play for. 0-1 pitch. Of course, the top 8 national seed is the big and hot topic of conversation around the ball yard. Dave Van Horn wants none of that conversation. Scott Strickland said, hey, look, whoever wins this series is a lock to get a top 8. And both teams may be a lock, actually, to get a top 8 national seed. But I agree with Strickland in that the winner of this series is a lock to get one. Arkansas projected by D1 Baseball as a 3 seed, and Georgia started the series projected by D1Baseball.com as a number 7. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I kind of agree with your scenario that if Georgia can take the next 2 games right here, I think they both might be national seeds.
Yeah, I definitely think the pressure now has shifted to Georgia after Arkansas got that win last night, pitching the dirt and blocked by Cook. Count now 2-2.
Great job by Cook right there. Very difficult pitch to block. Ball bounced well out in front of home plate. He really attacked it with his body. If he lays back on this, it's going to hit him up high and kick away, but he really attacks it.
Oh, yeah.
It's right in the middle of his chest. Good job right there.
Like a hockey goalie right there. Just getting in front of the net and making his body wide and as big as possible and let that thing hit you square in the chest.
Yeah, he moves well back there. We saw him make a couple of pretty good plays, pretty good blocks last night, too, out of the zone.
Yeah, did not start last night. 2-2 pitch. That ball is hit up in the air over on the left side. Kinley battling the sun a little bit, shields his eyes and makes the play on the grass for the second out. Yeah, Cook did not start last night. He had injured his ankle in the series finale against the Aggies. And Opitz, the seldom used freshman, got the start last night. And then they pinch hit for Opitz in the 7th inning.
Yeah, Opitz did a fine job last night behind the plate, too, especially catching the Friday nighter. And Knight, not an easy thing to do, step in and have some rhythm. And I don't think Knight was at his best last night, but I thought Opitz did a good job in handling him.
Here's Mason Meadows. Speaking of catchers, here's Georgia's catcher, the redshirt freshman, batting 8th in the order, as he typically does. Mason has been, one of the biggest, most pleasant surprises on this Georgia team this year with his offense. Last night, he struggled more behind the plate than I had seen him struggle the entire season. Got crossed up a couple of times, and Coach Scott Strickland says when you get crossed up a couple of times, then you start guessing.
Oh, it's tough, definitely on a young catcher. When you're older, you know how to handle it a little bit better. But it was basically 2 first-year players out there, and a couple of cross-ups can really throw you off.
Hits the breaking ball foul past Scott Daly, the third base coach. Georgia leading Arkansas 3-2. Lots to play for. Georgia, with a win, secures a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, which of course is huge because you don't have to play that single elimination round on Tuesday. You go right to Wednesday's start of the double elimination. Arkansas playing for a Western Division title. They can wrap one up and clinch it today with a win and an Ole Miss loss. Rebels playing later on tonight in Tuscaloosa after beating Alabama 3-2 last night in the series opener to keep the pressure on Arkansas. Matt Stewart, Jason Jacobs, thanks for joining us. Still in the first inning here. Georgia leading Arkansas 3-2. It's been wild and woolly already. Line drive into center field for a base hit. Here comes Sasser around third. Throw goes towards third, so Sasser scores. And Sasser scored before they got the out at third base on Cam Shepard. And so the Bulldogs played a 4th run on the play on the RBI single by Mason Meadows before the Razorbacks in the inning on the throw to third. So, wow, what a first inning. Arkansas with 2 in the top half. Georgia with 4 in the bottom half. 2 coming on Aaron Shunk's 3rd home run of the season. Buckle in, folks. We're headed to the 2nd. Van Horn picking up his 631st career victory as the Arkansas coach last night. He's over 1,200 victories in his career, and I know you and I just really treasure the time we get to spend with him when the Razorbacks come to town or whenever we get to visit them on the road. just a fun time to talk baseball with Dave Van Horn.
Yeah, it really is. It's a good time talking baseball. He's obviously knowledgeable, very, very intelligent with the game, but just his feel for it is another thing altogether in and of itself.
Cook hits this one deep to left field. They're going to one-hop the wall. He's going to dig for second. Here comes the throw from McGovern, and sliding in there, Grant Cook making his presence felt on his very first swing of the bat here on this Friday afternoon.
Yeah, this ball hung up in the air for quite some time. Able to get his hands inside that fastball in. And there's a lot of ground to cover out there. You see the 350 mark right there. It's 400 plus in center, so a lot of ground to cover right there. And I think he just put it just out of McGovern's reach. Leads this off with a double, and here's Arkansas answering back. So,
fifth double of the season for Cook. So he's immediately in scoring position for Jared Gates, who did not start but finished up the game at first base last night. Gates making just his 23rd start of the season, batting below 200 at 197. Takes the cut and misses. He's a senior out of Wichita, Kansas. Started his college career at Iowa Western, big-time junior college program, for landing with the Razorbacks. That kind of dovetails into something I wanted to say about Van Horn. I mean, he's a real grinder, Van Horn. I mean, you know, there's some guys, and I don't mean anything disparaging by anybody as they appeal down to third base. Ryan Moorhead said he didn't go. I mean, there are some guys who get plum jobs, and maybe you could say they didn't really pay their dues. Well, you know, you look at Van Horn's resume, his playing days. He started out at McLennan, Texas Community College. And then he went to Arkansas, 10th round pick of the Braves, kicked around the minor leagues for 3 seasons. And then he went into coaching. You know, his first job is Texarkana Community College. That slapped into left field for a base hit. And runners at the corners for the Razorbacks to start the second inning. And then he goes to Central Missouri State, wherever that is. Wins a national championship. Then to Northwestern State. A lot of, you know, SEC coaches kind of cut their teeth on Northwestern State there in Louisiana. Won a couple of regular season titles. Then he goes to Nebraska. Not exactly hotbed of baseball. Turns them into a College World Series program. And now at Arkansas, where, you know, he's plus 600 wins, the only coach other than Norm DeBryan to do that. And respect for what he's been able to do in his career.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just incredible talking to him. I don't think there's anything he hasn't seen in the game of baseball, and it seems like he remembers it all. Just one of those guys that can, you know, pick out a play and tell you every detail about it. And again, you look at the lineup he puts out there. Carson Shaddy, probably his best hitter, hitting 6, and it just works.
Kenley at the plate takes a strike. It's 1-1.
So the way he looks at the ball game is just it's just different and so advanced in so many different areas.
Kenley at 205, and again a replacement for Jax Biggers, who's out with that fractured finger. They fake the throw to third and then spin the throw to first. Nothing played. Biggers, their everyday shortstop, fractured the tip of his finger trying to put down a bunt. Highly unlikely we see him this week, and maybe unlikely that you see him next week in Hoover. Big cut and miss by Kenley. It's 1-2. Hancock's best start, 12-3 win against South Carolina way back in March. Allowed 1 run on 5 hits, no walks, tied his career high with 7 strikeouts. That followed his SEC debut the week before at Alabama, in which he carried a no-hitter into the 7th. Strikes out Kenley with runners at the corners, and there's 1 down.
A big strikeout right there. This puts Hancock just 1 pitch away. If he gets a good ground ball, double play right here, he can get out of this inning unscathed. Will have his hands full with Eric Cole, not an easy guy to double up.
I was getting ready to say, I mean, you know, now you're back around to that top of the order with this Arkansas team. Cole, Martin, Kerstad, and Bonfield, and you got runners at the corners and 1 down. So bear down here if you're Emerson Hancock. Did he go? They appeal down to third, and Moorhead says again He did not go.
Close, but I think it could have gone either way. I think the best explanation I heard from an umpire is typically the umpires down the line are looking right down the line, and if they see that bat pass that foul line from their perspective, a lot of times they'll call it a swing. I think Cole might have held up right there, just enough.
1 ball, no strikes to Cole. Ball 2.
And again, just a lot of off-speed stuff out of Hancock here. I feel like you're looking for that ground ball. And a lot of times the breaking ball is more of a swing and miss or more of a fly ball type of pitch, a slower breaking ball that he's throwing in this situation.
2-0, now 3-0.
So he went breaking ball, changeup. 3 off-speed pitches to start this at bat, and he's behind 3-0.
And this is one of the reasons, what you're seeing right here is why Dave Van Horn ultimately elected to put Cole back in the leadoff spot ahead of Biggers. A little bit more patient at the plate. 3-0 pitch in there for a strike, 3-1. Cole batting .340 since they moved him to the leadoff spot 3 weeks ago with 3 homers and 9 RBI, 11 runs scored. Try that move again, and again, same result.
Trying to defend against the run and hit in that situation, where the runner at first will take off and the batter has the option to swing if it is a strike.
Hancock, 3-1 pitch to Cole. Coming now. Strike 2. 90-mile-per-hour fastball. Looked like it had a little tail on the end of it.
It took a little something off. Hancock not quite his usual mid-90s self. Kind of hanging in the low 90s right now. Maybe that's why he's going to so much breaking stuff. Doesn't have a lot of confidence in his arm right now.
Ball hit in the air, shallow center field, and C.J. Smith can't get to it. Racing home and scoring from third is Cook to make it 4-3. Cook had to wait to see if C.J. Smith was going to catch that thing, and it looked, watching Smith's reaction, it looked from the runner's perspective like C.J. Smith was going to make the catch.
Yeah, you see right there, he doesn't really get a good jump on it coming in. He kind of goes lateral for his first couple of steps. Like he got a bad read at first and then tried to adjust late.
So Cole with the flare plates Cook, and it's now 4-3. Gates at second, first and second, still 1 out, and now you got Casey Martin. Martin. Changeup was a little elevated. He fouls it off. Flew out to left his first time up. 16 multi-hit games for Martin now after last night's 4-hit game. It was the second of his career. First since picking up 4 hits and 6 RBI against Bucknell way back on February 17th. 0-1, fouled back. Now that was fastball. 0-2. But again, that's a 91. So the velo for Hancock not quite there. And I heard Scott Strickland talking with Jeff Dantzler, the radio play-by-play guy for the Bulldogs, doing their pregame show. And Hancock's from Cairo, Georgia. You're talking about swamp heat city, but so they didn't. And it is a warm day. I don't know whether that's got anything to do with it. Who knows? But the velo not quite where it typically has been. That's a breaking ball outside.
I think this is the toughest part of that first season for an everyday player. And Hancock's been a weekend starter his entire season. So I think this is kind of those dog days where you got to try and find a way to catch your second wind because it's not something you're accustomed to. The games are 2 innings longer and you play twice as many as high school schedule. So a bit of an adjustment here.
1-2 pitch. Again outside with the breaking ball, and it's 2-2. That's back-to-back breaking balls to Hancock, or rather from Hancock to Martin, and way out of the zone.
Yeah, trying to get him to chase, but just not quite enticing enough, too far out of the zone.
Gates at second, Cole at first. A run in for Arkansas here in the top of the second.
And again, the breaking ball changeup. You go from 0-2 to 3-2.
So I think he's only thrown him one fastball out of these 5 pitches, because I think the first pitch was a changeup too.
It looked like he had taken something a little bit off of that. And the one fastball he threw, Martin did not look very comfortable on.
So 3 balls and 2 strikes to Casey Martin. Way out of the zone, bases loaded. Well, Scott Strickland had said they want 6 or 7 from Hancock. I would think right now they'd be fortunate to get 4 or 5 out of him, as the bullpen is already up for Georgia. And is that Christofac? That would be really early for Christofac.
I believe it is.
I don't know that Christofac has come in this early in a game. We'd really have to dig in the books to find that one out. So bases loaded for Heston Kjerstad, who slammed a 2-run homer over the right field wall his first time up.
It looks like they might be stalling for time a little bit.
Yeah, Georgia is. There's no doubt. Meadows out there to buy some time for Christofac to get ready.
Yeah, maybe not. He came back in a hurry. Usually if you're buying time, you wait for the umpire to come and get you.
Yeah.
So it might have been just switching up the signals with a man at second base.
All right, here comes Scott Strickland.
Was stalling for time.
And he is moving very slow. Do you make the change right here? I mean, I think it's a strong consideration. He hasn't been able to, throw strikes with the breaking ball. It appears, based on just our observation, looking at the radar gun that they use on the scoreboard here, that the velo is not up at the 95-96 range, as typically has been the case. It's more like 90-91.
Yeah, and it seems like he doesn't quite have the command of the off-speed stuff in order to have kind of a subpar fastball for the day.
Yeah, they're making the change. Wow. Hancock does not make it out of the second. Christofac in the second. Bases loaded, Georgia leading by a run. Sophomore out of the Atlanta area, last appearance losing pitcher in Georgia's 7-6 loss at Florida in relief. And he comes in the second inning. He worked 4 2/3 against Tennessee last year in relief. So he does have it in him. And typically, I mean, this isn't the major leagues where you're asking a reliever who typically only goes 1 inning to come out here and go long. I mean, these guys, Christofac, I'm sure, has been a starter at times in his career, so he does have some length in him. It's just that he hasn't been asked to do that this year.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of an odd situation here for Georgia, who's done a great job at kind of following a script all year long. But Hancock, I think he just didn't have it right there in a big situation. Kjerstad's already homered off of him. I understand the thinking here in the move by Scott Strickland to get to Christofac and try and get out of this thing at the very least tied or maybe down by 1, and not allow for that Arkansas offense to explode for the 6 runs they were able to explode for in the 7th inning of last night's ball game. So a big spot right here, and I don't question the move too much.
No, and especially when you consider that Kjerstad blasted one off of Hancock his first time up, an inning to go. So Kjerstad up there with the bases slammed, and the first pitch from Christofac is a ball. Christofac leading the SEC in appearances. This is his 28th of the year. So over half of Georgia's games. 1-0 pitch. That's in there for a strike. Christofac 3-2, 4 saves, 3.12 ERA, 34 2/3 innings. He struck out 45. He's walked 17. Opponents batting .242 against him. Gates at third, Cole at second, Martin at first. Breaking ball, 2-1.
gosh, that's just amazing. Kerstad's able to lay off. That's a good breaking ball right there, coming off of a well-located fastball down in the zone. And he didn't even flinch at it.
2-1 pitch. Three and one. Strike two. So the count full, 3-2 with the bases loaded and one out here in the top of the second inning. Kerstad with one swing of the bat could put Arkansas right back on top. Called strike three. Christopher paints the black on the outside corner, low and away.
Wow, and he just located three very good fastballs. Strike one, then he goes to the breaking ball two straight times, gets that 3-1 and just locates two pitchers' pitches right there on the corner. That one at 93 miles an hour, knee high on the outer half. So a great job there by Christopher getting the big out in Kerstad.
So two down now, and here's Luke Bonfield. Bonfield with a single his first time up. 2 for 4 in the series with that 2-run homer in the 7th last night. As we mentioned off the top an hour ago, he's homered in consecutive games. His 2-run homer last night against Georgia, the 3-run homer against Texas A&M on Sunday. And bats here with the bases loaded. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike. 1-1.
Jacob Asher, I mean, if you don't hear him say strike, you're kind of up in the air a little bit. He says it at first and then signals it a little bit later.
6 RBI for Bonfield in his last 2 games, and batting with the bases loaded here in the top of the second. Christopher already on for Hancock. 1-1. Ball is driven into left field. It's going to be caught by Keegan McGovern, leaping up at the last second to make the grab. And Arkansas leaves the bases loaded. They do get a run in the inning on the RBI single by Cole, but Georgia escapes with no further damage done. We head to the bottom of the second. Georgia on top 4-3. Heading to the bottom of the second inning. Georgia holding on to a 4-3 lead on Arkansas. 5 hits apiece in what has been a crazy game thus far. And Mitchell Webb will lead off the second inning for the Bulldogs, the number 9 hitter batting for the first time. You kind of get the feeling here, Jason, as you watch this game unfold, how many runs will it take to win this game today? Either team.
It just seems like both of these offenses are determined to grab that momentum and answer back. So, yeah, absolutely. How many runs will it take? Can Georgia right here answer back, or Arkansas getting one back there in the top half?
Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Webb getting the start here today because Tucker Bradley out with that hamstring injury that he re-aggravated last night in the series opener. Webb making just his 7th start of the season, a 4-year senior. Finding himself in a pinch hit and reserve role here in his senior season. Count 1-2 to Webb.
And what a great reward for this young man who has been part of this program, as you mentioned, for 4 years, getting a shot to play in the postseason, possibly host a regional.
Absolutely.
He's done so many good things for the program in limited role. But has come up with so many clutch hits in the past. It's a very good reward for him to finish out his last year at playing in the postseason.
He'll be one of, I believe it's 5 seniors that'll be honored tomorrow, Senior Day. 12 noon start for that one on SEC Network. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Webb. Outside, 3-2. The story on Bradley is Strickland says it's not a bad hamstring injury, but a lingering hamstring injury. He will not play at all the rest of this weekend and likely will not play in Hoover. In fact, Strickland says he'd have to do a backflip to convince me to let him play in Hoover. And so we probably will not see Tucker Bradley suiting up for Georgia or playing for Georgia until the regionals.
Yeah, I think that's the smart move, especially for the young man's future. Those hamstrings can be nagging, but it doesn't sound like it's a complete pull or tear or anything of that nature, just some tightness. And if you continue to try and gut it out on that, it can turn into something a lot worse. Bradley, definitely speed is definitely an attribute that he brings as part of his part of his arsenal of weapons. So you definitely want to have him healthy and 100%.
Here's the 3-2 pitch, fouled back. Count remains full to Mitchell Webb. Well, Casey Murphy has been able to do something that Emerson Hancock was unable to do, and that was stay in the game thus far. Hancock got knocked out in the second inning. Georgia already into their bullpen. 3-2 pitch. Rifled down the line in left field. That's going to be a fair ball. Webb hits the bag at first, motors towards second, has a stand-up double. How about that? Got to feel good for Mitchell Webb. Third double of the season for him out of 7 total hits. And he's in scoring position.
Man, a good at bat, fighting some pitches off. This is a tough pitch on the inside corner. Able to fight his hands inside that with 2 strikes and keep it fair. And going back to last inning, I mean, last out was made on the bases. Cam Shepard getting thrown out at third, breaking the Cardinal rule of making that third out at third. You wonder what could have been had Mitchell Webb gotten a chance to hit in that situation, possibly for an RBI right there and some more runs for Georgia.
Here's C.J. Smith. Smith reached on a strikeout wild pitch back in that first inning, scored one batter later when Shunk hit the home run down the right field line, puts down a great bunt. Martin on the move, throws over to first. They get the out there. That advances Webb to third base on the sacrifice. Nicely done by C.J. Smith.
Oh, great bunt right there. And that is traditionally where you want to bunt it, down that third base side to get the runner to third. I wouldn't be surprised if, as this game kind of wears on, if Murphy's still in, if C.J. Smith gets a shot, maybe to take one with him and see if the left-hander falling off to the third base side can get over in time.
So one down with Webb now in scoring position with a fly ball to plate him as he's at third base. And here's Shunk. Hit his 3rd home run of the season, his last time up. Hits this one in the air to deep left field. That should be enough to get Webb home. Now it's going to be called off by the center fielder Fletcher. He makes a strong throw to the plate, way off the mark, however, as Webb scores to make it 5-3. 3rd RBI of the game for Shunk.
And I think Fletcher maybe has the stronger arm, but I think that's a tougher angle.
Yeah, I thought he made a mistake right there. He might have the stronger arm, but the left fielder should have been the guy that takes that so that he can kind of back up and get some movement into the throw.
Yeah, especially with Fletcher being the lefty, he's got to turn his body that 90 degrees to get back online. And you see right there, Kerstad had a better angle to possibly get rid of the ball more accurately and quicker, but I think Webb might score regardless.
Yeah, I think so too. Kerstad probably would have had the better shot, however. He deferred to Fletcher on that play. Georgia gets the sacrifice fly and the 5-3 lead. Team leading 6th sacrifice fly for Shunk. He just does pretty much everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, just back to the conversation. I mean, there really ought to be some sort of two-way player because the value that he brings it's just probably not rewarded enough for how much it really improves this Georgia baseball team.
Count is 1-2 to McGovern, who singled and scored on the RBI single by Sasser back in the first. Ground ball hit to the shortstop Kinley. Low throw and picked by Gates. And that will end the inning, but not before Georgia plates another. Started with the double by Webb, and he scores on the sac fly by Shung. 5-3 Georgia as we head to the third. And for the first time this weekend, it has started to rain here in Athens, Georgia. And we're very fortunate we've gotten in 11 innings of baseball to this point without any rain, given the forecast as ominous as it has been all week. But it has started to drizzle a little bit here in the top of the third. Not enough to stop play, at least not for now. Dominic Fletcher will lead off the inning for Arkansas. As a catcher, as a pitcher, how difficult does the rain make your job?
Catcher, not as much, but I mean,
you guys
I would
are just
imagine,
muddy hogs anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, you're pretty much, you're wet from sweat this time of year anyhow, so you're grabbing clay and drying your hand off every chance you can get. But
the pitcher, that's a different story with the grip, right?
Especially fielding your position. Infielders as well, that ball coming off the grass is really what gets you. Going from grass to clay, you get a little bit of that, and the ball can get slick.
Fletcher flew out to center field his first time up. Ball two. Fletcher 2 for 6 in the series thus far. Batting .386 his last 15 games. With 7 extra base hits, including that triple last night. Batted .448 in the month of April to rebound from a .190 start. Talk about a juxtaposition, .190 to .448 as he draws the quick walk. Becomes the 8th base runner for Arkansas so far in this game. Matt Stewart along with Jason Jacobs, game 2 of this 3-game series. Arkansas won the series opener last night 8-6 to move one step closer to their first Western Division title since 2011. Carson Shaddy takes a ball from Christofak. Regardless of what happens with Georgia in the top 8 national seed conversation, Georgia's going to host a regional here in almost 100% probability, as confidently as we can say it without being a part of the committee, for the first time since 2008.
And I think that's an impressive turnaround for this program. First time going to be in the tournament, the NCAA tournament that is, under Coach Scott Strickland, and a chance to host. I think that, again, that's a great reward for those guys that kind of stuck with it and played through those tough years.
Swing and a miss. 1-2 now to Shaddy, who struck out his first time up. Christofak, Georgia's sophomore reliever, the little dynamo. 1-2 pitch, called strike 3. Shaddy knew it. Well, I guess he did. There was a little shake of the head there. It looked like it was a strike to me right at the knees. He struck out twice.
There was a close pitch early on in the at-bat that was close to the same spot there that went the way of ball. So maybe a little disappointed that it had changed there. But a close enough pitch, I feel like as a pitcher-catcher combination, you feel like if you hit that enough times, you should get the call. So a good, well-located fastball there by Christofak.
Here's Grant Cook. Doubled and scored his first time up. Led off the second with a double, scored on the single by Cole. That at the time cut the Georgia lead to 4-3. Arkansas now 7-12 on the road this season. That counts the neutral site games, not just the true away games. 4-9 in the conference on the road in the SEC. One ball, one strike, with Fletcher down at first base with the leadoff walk. One down in the inning after the strikeout of Shaddy. 1-1 pitch outside, 2-1. Arkansas's won 9 of their last 11. Their only 2 losses coming the last 2 games of that LSU series. Georgia's won 8 of their last 12. 2 of those losses coming last week at Florida, and 1 of those last night. 2-1 pitch outside again. 3-1. Georgia has, whether it was Hancock or whether it has been Christopher, has had the outside breaking ball, the slider. Arkansas has not, or they have not been close enough to get Arkansas to bite at those pitches.
No, I think they've been throwing a lot of off-speed stuff here.
Way out of the zone, not close enough for the batter to even think about.
Yeah, well, they're not going to unless you're ahead in the count at this point, and Georgia just has been pitching from behind this entire ball game.
Ball 4. So 2 walks for Christopher in the inning.
Very uncharacteristic, and I feel like Christopher it can locate that fastball very well. So just maybe game plan a little bit too cute right now with all the breaking stuff. I think got to go ahead and establish that fastball early and often.
That's 12 walks now for Christopher in right at 20 innings of SEC work. You take a look at the Scott Strickland resume. First time they've been able to push past that 30-win mark in his 5 seasons as a head coach, and they've done more than that. They've done more than just push past 30 wins. They put themselves in the national conversation with the season they've put together. Here's Jared Gates. Gates singled his first time up. Bats with 2 aboard. Talking to him prior to the series opener yesterday, I asked him just how difficult, the last 4 years have been, given the uber success he had at Kent State, leading them to the College World Series and a number 5 national ranking. You come to Georgia where you've got, the facilities, no offense against Kent State, the facilities, the resources, everything is so much better, but you're inheriting a program that's been on the slide a little bit, and it probably takes you longer to rebuild than you thought, and you get to year 5 before you finally see the fruits of your labor. Wild pitch. Breaking ball spiked in the dirt, ends up glancing off of Meadows, and now runners at second and third. But he said, to wrap up the story, he said, look, you just had to keep your head down, keep your ears closed, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I definitely think you got to do what got you there. And it's, I think adjustments are made, do need to be made, and subtle, but you never really lose who you are overall.
Yeah. So the tying run now at second base for Arkansas here. 1-2 pitch to Gates, hits it to the right side. Talley gets to it. They throw out Gates. Run scores as Fletcher touches the plate. And it's now 5-4, and Cook goes to third.
Great execution right there by Gates, just putting something on the ground, ensuring that run gets across. And answering back Georgia's score in the bottom half. So another answer here by a team after another team scored in the previous half.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shaping up to be that type of ball game, and the hit right here ties it up.
17th RBI for Gates. Here's Kinley, who struck out his first time up, and he hits this one down the line in right field, and it's off the wall. Game is tied. Kinley digs for second, and he is going to get there. Webb got the ball back in a hurry because it bounced right to him off the wall. Kinley slides in head first. RBI double to tie the game at 5.
You see that breaking ball just kind of hangs up. And again, I think this Arkansas team has been on most of the breaking balls from Hancock and Christopher. As you mentioned, not really offering it anything out of the zone. They're seeing it pretty well when it's in the zone. I think Georgia may have to make an adjustment here on how they're calling the pitches and maybe get a little more fastball heavy.
Second double, 9th RBI of the season for Kinley, just his 10th hit this season. And a couple of guys at the bottom of the order who have not been called on to produce a whole lot this year have come through big for Arkansas in the top of the third. Gates, who came into the game batting 197, knocks in a run with a ground out. And then Kinley batting 205 at the start of the game, an RBI double to tie the game. here's Cole batting for the third time already in this game. And I have to say that if you're Georgia, you probably got a little bit of a queasy feeling with the way this thing's going, because you know what the first 6 guys in the order can do, and now the 7, 8, and 9 guys are killing you.
Yeah, on top of that, you're already in the bullpen here in just the 3rd inning.
Base hit up the middle. Here comes Kinley around third. He gives the wave sign. Here comes the throw to the plate, and Arkansas back on top with a 3-run top of the 3rd as Cole delivers his 2nd RBI base hit of the game. What I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this Arkansas offense, they'll do it, and they'll do it in a hurry. And it seems like it doesn't get any easier as you go down the lineup. Get a good fastball there down and away, and he just stays down on it. Serves it out in the center field. And these Arkansas hitters are locked in.
Yeah, they're just hitting beast, aren't they? I mean, they're like machines.
Yeah, and you mentioned, the bottom of the order going 2 now. Oof. That does have to give you a little bit of a queasy feeling if you're in the Georgia dugout.
So now you've cycled back around to the 2, 3, and 4 guys here, although there are 2 outs in the inning.
And again, you're already in your bullpen. It's just the 3rd inning. And the first guy you got out is already at 32 pitches.
And deep in your bullpen, and what I mean by that is you've got a guy pitching here in the 3rd inning, brought him in the 2nd, a guy that you didn't expect to use till probably the 6th or the 7th.
Yeah, ideally the 6th,
right,
maybe the 7th.
Exactly.
Right before you bring in your closer.
You're like 4 innings, maybe 5 innings ahead of script in a bad way.
Yeah, this Arkansas offense will do it to you, though. Very disciplined team. Again, not chasing the breaking ball. Georgia unable to really command it. And they've just been a little bit off there on the mound to start this game.
2 balls and a strike to Casey Martin, coming off his 4-hit game last night. He's finishing the season strong. You talk about freshman hitting the wall. Well, he has hurdled the wall. 16 of the last 21 games he's had base hits. 2 hits or more in 9 games during that span. Last 8 games, he's batting .412 with 5 multi-hit games. So much for the freshman wall.
Yeah, he didn't hear about that freshman wall, did he?
He just went right over it with one big stride.
He might have just run through it.
2-1, outside, 3-1.
Again, just another 3-1 count here from Christopher. Pretty uncharacteristic. We saw it out of Hancock, very uncharacteristic of his control issues. And now Christopher just really painting himself into a corner where he has to make now 2 quality pitches.
Tim Elliott is one of the right-handers up for Georgia right now. There's another. I can't ID him just yet. 3-1, runners going. It doesn't matter. 5-pitch walk, 1st and 2nd for Arkansas.
That looks like that might be Blake Cairns up there getting loose as well.
So 2 walks, an RBI double, RBI single, ground out RBI for Arkansas here in this 3rd inning. And Blake Cairns, as you mentioned, is the other pitcher up for Georgia, to the 2 right-handers. Raining a little bit harder now. Looks like it's kind of settled in, and Sean Kinney, the Georgia pitching coach, is going to come out and visit. A 6-5 lead for Arkansas here in the top of the 3rd. We're an hour and 20 minutes in, and we've played less than a full 2.5 innings.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Georgia mount something in the bottom half of this inning to possibly answer back.
Well, I mean, everybody scored. Arkansas went for 2 in the top half of the 1st. Georgia answered with 4. Arkansas got a run back in the top of the 2nd to make it 4-3. Georgia got a run back, made it 5-3, and now Arkansas's put 3 on the board here in the top of the 3rd. Some folks are heading for the concourse or further, maybe their cars. Looks like the rain is kind of settling in. I know all around the southeast we've had rain delays, some rainouts. Braves got rained out last night. That does not happen often. That's about an hour and 20 minutes from here. And the NCAA softball regional at Turner Stadium here in Athens is in a rain delay as well. So the count is 1-0 to Kjerstad. His 2-run homer in the first put Arkansas on top early, struck out looking in the second. 1-0 pitch. You know, and we said this with Hancock. He could not throw his breaking ball for a strike, and Kristofak has not had much success with that either.
He seems to be making the pitches when he needs to at times, but the 3 walks in this inning, very uncharacteristic for him.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. There's a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 2-1. How difficult is it for a pitcher when you're thinking, I'm going to come in around the 6th or 7th inning, and then you're in the ball game in the second?
Oh, it's definitely a different feel. Kind of throws you off. Typically, especially bullpen guys, have their routine of when they go down to the bullpen, how they go down to the bullpen, what they take with them, etc.
Right back to Kristofak. Inning over. So Kristofak gets the big out when he needs it, but Arkansas plates 3 before he does. And as we head to the bottom of the third here in Athens, Arkansas leads Georgia 6-5. Here's the action from around the SEC last night. We're the only game in progress right now on this Friday afternoon. Auburn beat LSU 11-4. Ole Miss kept pace with Arkansas. 3-2 win against Alabama. Missouri walked off Tennessee. That sets up a big game between those two later on tonight. More on that in a moment. Vandy beat Kentucky 8-1. South Carolina lost at Texas A&M 6-3. And Mississippi State clinched a spot in the SEC tournament with a 6-3 win over number 1 and regular season champion Florida. As far as that the Missouri-Tennessee game, they'll play again tonight. If Missouri wins, they clinch the 12th and final berth in the SEC tournament. If Tennessee wins tonight, then they'll play a game tomorrow, and the winner of that game would clinch the 12th and final spot. So, in essence, they're already in the midst of their playoffs. Kind of best of 2 of 3 series to see who gets in the tournament to play on Tuesday. Man, shot right off the mask of Jacob Asher. Hopefully he's okay.
I think I saw him just mouth, "I'm good." Looked like he got him low in the mask, kind of shifted his jaw.
You might want to rethink that for a moment. Both trainers are out there to talk to him, and now the umpiring crew. He might think he's good. They might have to check to see if he's good. He's laughing about it.
He's getting some chuckles out of those trainers as well. So
and this is a shot. Bam.
Oh, yeah. You can see right there off the side. That's actually a better place to get hit. I thought it got him a little bit lower. That'll shift your jaw back a little. Not a good. There's no good place to get hit, but I think it's a little bit better up top there.
That's kind of like, do you want 1 finger smashed with a hammer or 2?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take the 1, thank you.
And Curry being a catcher himself, checking to make sure he's all right.
Steady rain continues to fall. You can see the infield getting a little tacky, a little muddy there, a little clay. So all of this is going to start, and you got the infield grass, and of course anything hitting the outfield is going to be slick. We'll wait and see how long they stay with this. It's not a downpour by any means, but the steady rain is gathering moisture on this field. And Curry goes down looking. 1 down here in the third.
A good late breaking ball there in the back door. Just so tough to pull the trigger. You can see Curry walking back a little frustrated. Just looks like a ball the whole way there, and then that late break.
Here's Adam Sasser, RBI single for Sasser, his first time up. Sasser, since his last appearance from a series standpoint here at Foley Field, National Player of the Week a couple of weeks ago after what he did against Missouri, unleashed his fury against the Tigers, went 7 for 13, 4 homers, 10 RBI in the 3-game sweep of the Tigers. Won collegiate baseball, baseball writers, National Player of the Week honors, as well as SEC Player of the Week honors. 1-1 to Sasser, in the air, left side. Martin, the third baseman, calls for it. 2 down. We are 1 out away from a rarity today. In fact, it hasn't happened yet. A 3-up, 3-down inning. Cam Shepard singled his first time up. One and one. Shepard 2 for 6 in the series. Starting his 110th game of his career here today. Shepard having a phenomenal season defensively. Has committed only 1 error in conference play at shortstop.
It's amazing.
So what he may have lacked in offensive consistency this year, he certainly has not let that affect him in the field. Two balls and 2 strikes to Cam Shepard. A year ago batted .307 as a freshman with 5 homers and 28 RBI. He's bettered the RBI numbers here as a sophomore, but not the batting average. High and long down the right field line and foul. 47 points off of last year's pace here in the final weekend of the regular season. Just 1 home run off of last year's total after last night's home run. 2-2 pitch to Shepard. Called strike 3. And Murphy, first time today, retires Georgia 3 up, 3 down. And in the midst of a steady rain, we head to the 4th with Arkansas on top, 6-5. We started this day talking about Arkansas's quick strike ability with their offense. Well, they've kept that theme going here in game number 2 of the series. The 2-run homer by Kerstad in the first inning, and then more coming in the second. RBI single by Eric Cole, and then a couple more runs, 3 of them to be exact, plated in that 3rd inning. Jack Kinley with the RBI double. And then Cole later added another RBI single after that, scoring Kinley. That's got Arkansas on top here, 6-5, as Georgia now 2 deep into the bullpen. Their 3rd pitcher used today, and this is one of the seniors that'll be honored tomorrow, Blake Cairns out of Douglasville.
Cairns has been pretty consistent throughout his career. Going to come in and throw strikes for the most part, but I mean, that's the thing with Georgia. You talk about the sloppy, infield play or defensive play last night. Well, today it's been the walks. They've got 5 walks here in just 3 innings of work. And Cairns looking to come in and establish that strike zone, something that Hancock nor Christopher was really able to do.
Looks like the rain has actually stopped. 18th appearance of the season for Cairns. 1-0 record, 3.21 ERA in 28 innings. He's got 24 strikeouts, 11 walks. Opponents batting .208 against him. This is just his 8th appearance in conference play. So he's seen his role diminish somewhat. Breaking ball right there from Cairns. He's seen his role diminish somewhat as some others have maybe passed him by a little bit in the bullpen rotation. Kristofak, of course, leads the conference in appearances. Losi, who's been one of the most valuable guys out of the bullpen, is a kind of a bridge guy, a longer middle relief kind of guy. But here's an opportunity for Cairns as the Bulldogs get poised to enter postseason, next week at the SEC tournament, regionals after that, to take advantage of this opportunity and this appearance to say, hey, look, I can help us out.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge role. You always look for one pitcher to kind of step up, especially if you end up in a loser's bracket game in a regional where you end up having to play 5 ball games in about 3.5 days or so. You're going to need a guy to kind of step up and bridge that gap, and I think Cairns has the potential to be that guy should they get in that situation.
2 balls and 2 strikes here to Luke Bonfield. Bonfield with a single, stolen base in the first, lined out in the second. Got a 4-game hitting streak that's now at 5 with that single in the first. Hits this one to deep right center field, but does not have carry. Caught by Webb out there, about 10 feet shy of the track. There's one down. Now, what does the weather and the rain, now what's that going to do to fly balls here?
Well, it could knock it down with the heavy air being around. I would be more concerned with anything that hits in the gaps, a line drive skipping through. Outfielders need to take a little bit deeper angle. And again, on their throws into the bases, maybe leave a little bit longer hop because that ball's going to skip off the wet grass. Infielders the same way. They may have to retreat or drop step to get a better hop. And then obviously the throw across the diamond is going to be difficult.
Fletcher offered. Flew out to center in the first, walked and scored in the third, came home on that ground down by Gates. Fastball strike from Cairns makes it 0-2. Fletcher 2 for 6 in the series. That's in the air. Got some carry, but it looks like it's going to die out there again. And Webb has his second put out in a row. Carson Shaddy has struck out twice today. Swinging in the first, looking in the third. 40 strikeouts now for Shaddy this season. That's one of the things when you have a team that hits for the power that Arkansas does, 78 home runs now in the season, which is second in the conference, right near the top. You've got Shaddy with 40 strikeouts, Kerstad 43, Martin's got 43. Shepard gets to it but can't hold on to it. That's likely going to be a base hit, as Shepard was down on his knees as the ball popped out of his glove. And we'll see how they score that. They do call it a hit, and rightfully so.
And that's what I was kind of talking about with that skip. The ball almost accelerates by you a little bit. You got to take a little bit deeper angle than your eyes kind of read at first. See that first hop kind of jumped and almost snuck by Shepard there. Would have been a tough play regardless, but add the rain and the wetness of the grass, and it makes it that much more difficult.
Looks like he might have scuffed up his hands a little bit on that dirt. Here's Grant Cook. Been on base twice, doubled and scored in the second, walked and scored in the third. Getting Cook back in the batting order just lengthens it a little bit more. We talked about the top 6. Now you got him in that 7 spot. And he's got ability. He can swing for some power. A little cue ball shot down the first base line. Takes some weird bounces there. And Sasser steps on the bag to get the out. Man, that thing took all kinds of hops going down that first base line. This time Sasser plays the ball rather than let it play him. And Arkansas retired without scoring for the first time this afternoon. 6-5, we head to the bottom of the 4th. The road to Hoover is nearly at its end. Florida, we know, is the number 1 seed. And I don't know that anything else is settled. Mississippi State has qualified for the tournament. They're in at least the 11th spot. Missouri and Tennessee, that's the big question mark. Which one of those teams will get in at the bottom and play the number 5 seed on Tuesday? And it could be Missouri. If they get the win tonight, it will be. And if Tennessee wins tonight, it'll be between those two teams tomorrow to decide who gets that final berth. And the top 4 seeds that get the first round bye from that single elimination on Tuesday, that's yet to be determined. Georgia can clinch with a win today. Georgia could also clinch if South Carolina, Auburn, Vandy, and LSU lost today. So any of the teams with 13 to 14 losses, in addition to the top 4, still have a shot at the top 4. Here's L.J. Talley, cranks that one to center field. Going back on it is Fletcher right in front of the track. 1 down.
Good swing there by Talley. Gave it a good ride. I think it's just a little bit off the end of the bat. It is a very deep part of the ballpark, but I don't think the heaviness of the air knocked it down by any stretch. I think he just missed it.
Here's Mason Meadows. RBI single from Mason Meadows back in the first inning, scoring Sasser. Strike 1 to Meadows. Georgia 21-6 at home this season. Good, not incredible like Arkansas's 29-3 record at Baum Stadium, but good enough. 8-5 in the conference at home. Bulldogs 8-10 against the top 25. RPI of 6, according to the NCAA coming into this series. Georgia team that really turned their season around in Charleston, South Carolina. They lost 4 straight games there. 1-2 pitch to Meadows, and Meadows played a big role in that as we tell the story. Georgia lost 4 games there, got swept by College of Charleston. They were playing Charleston Southern, got beat by the Buccaneers, and then they're playing the Citadel. And Meadows hit a big grand slam against the Citadel to end that 4-game losing streak and jumpstart a 9-game winning streak in the month of March that carried into SEC play. And Georgia, after early on in the season, critics might look at them and say, oh, looks like the same Georgia to me that we've seen the last 4 years. They turned out to be a different team. Meadows strokes that one down the line in left field, just foul.
I mean, that was really close. I thought it landed on the outside part of the foul line. I didn't see much green. Of course, we're sitting pretty far away. But I didn't really see any green between the ball and the foul line. That Georgia dugout has a perfect view, and if they're not up in arms about it, I imagine it was foul, but not by a lot.
So 3 balls and 2 strikes to Mason Meadows. Just missed a double down the left field line. Ball in the air, foul territory, going to get to the seats.
This game is kind of taken on a feel a little bit of last night's game, where Arkansas kind of got out to the early lead and Georgia came back, took the lead, and seemed to be in control of things until that 7th inning. Now the script is kind of flipped where Georgia took the early lead, Arkansas has come back, and you're starting to get the feel that they're getting in control of the ball game a little bit here. Just with the 1-run lead, of course,
yep.
But you're feeling like things are starting to go their way. Murphy's starting to settle in a little bit.
And that brings a string of 7 in a row that Murphy had retired as Meadows draws the 1-out walk.
And a good at-bat like that could possibly break that rhythm and break that control Arkansas seems to have.
8 runs, 11 hits, 3 errors for Arkansas last night. Was not a clean game by any means by either team. Arkansas did more than enough, though, with that 6-run 7th inning, really turning things around with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters at the start of that 7th. Went from 4-2 down to 5-4 up in the matter of 3 batters. Martin got a base hit. Kerstad got a big base hit on a 3-2 pitch, and then Bonfield blasted one over the wall.
And they did it in a hurry, 6 runs in the blink of an eye, it seemed like.
Yeah, it really was. It was kind of like a lightning strike. And stunned the crowd here at Foley Field, who had, like you said, the momentum seemed to be building. Georgia's got it scripted just right. Atkins has pitched. Now Losey's on to pitch. Losey coming off a very strong 6th inning. This is going according to plan. And then Martin, Kerstad, and Bonfield changed it just like that.
Just like that.
One ball, one strike. Webb with a double his first time up. Webb has played all over the place. A third baseman early in his career, starting third baseman, everyday third baseman early in his career with the Bulldogs. Two-one pitch in the air and out of play.
And his is kind of the beauty of college baseball. You mentioned starting third baseman, kind of relegated to some backup duties, but an essential part of this team, I think, as a 4-year guy, really able to wear a bunch of different hats, can play third, can pinch run for you, going to play good defense, won't miss a sign, play some outfield, and just really does it all and comes up with some clutch hits in big-time situations.
2-2 pitch. Did he go? He did, and Webb is retired. Strikeout number 4 for Murphy.
Couldn't quite hold up. Murphy gets that breaking ball in. Good job by Murphy. If you're calling Webb's first at bat, he went with a fastball on 2 strikes, and Webb was able to stay inside it for a double there. Makes it look like that fastball and has it dive to his back foot there inside of his barrel. Good pitch right there from Murphy.
C.J. Smith in the leadoff role here today. Takes a strike. Reached on a strikeout wild pitch to start the game for Georgia back in the first. Scored on the 2-run homer by Shunk, and then put down a sacrifice bunt in the second that led to the sac fly, the next batter over by Shunk. So he and Shunk have teamed up here. Ground ball hit to Shaddy. Will toss to Kinley at second. They get the out there, and the inning comes to a close. And so Arkansas and Casey Murphy starting to slow down this Georgia offense. We head to the 5th. Razorbacks lead at 6-5. And as you can see, we are in a weather delay. The lightning flashing out there beyond the right center field wall. And so whenever there is lightning within a 6-mile radius, they have to postpone play, and it's a 30-minute delay from the sight of lightning, and every time you get another bolt of lightning, it's another 30 minutes, or the clock resets. So we do not know how long we're going to be in a weather delay. It's not raining, but it is lightning, and so we will break away here in the top of the 5th inning with Arkansas on top of Georgia 6-5. We'll keep you posted. You can follow us on social media at Baseball UGA. You can follow me at Matt Stewart TV, and we'll keep you updated on social media as to when we are coming back. But in a weather delay here at Foley Field in Game 2 of this 3-game weekend series with the Razorbacks leading the Bulldogs 6-5. Well, if you've been away for 2 hours, this is what's happened at Foley Field. First came the lightning, and then came the wall of rain and a big deluge here in Athens, Georgia. About 35 minutes ago, they pulled the tarp. They've been working on the field, and we are just about set for baseball. We will resume with Arkansas batting in the top of the 5th and leading the Georgia Bulldogs by a score of 6-5. Matt Stewart along with former Georgia Bulldogs standout catcher, coach, and 2-time Mets minor league all-star Jason Jacobs. And Jason, how does this rain delay impact these two teams?
Well, I think the advantage has to go to the home team who got to sit in their nice clubhouse, and I don't think Murphy's going to be back out there for Arkansas. He was starting to settle in, so good news for Georgia here. They kind of get a restart being down by 1, and Murphy seeming to settle in.
We already know the Bulldogs have made a change in their pitching plan. C.J. Smith's going to come in from center field and take over and pitch. Now, offense hasn't been a problem for either team this weekend. Georgia getting started early with Aaron Shunk blasting the 2-run homer and then piling on 3 more runs for the Bulldogs before it was all said and done.
Yeah, a couple of clutch hits, got out to that early start after Arkansas had scored 2 in the top half of their inning. Georgia answers back with 4. But then Arkansas comes right back with some scoring of their own, as we've seen their explosive offense. You got the big home run there by Kerstad, then a couple of RBI singles, and Arkansas back on top.
Yeah, and they knocked Hancock out of the ball game in the 2nd inning, so Georgia already very deep into their bullpen as we get ready to resume play.
Yeah, and it's been an exciting first half of this ball game, really. You see the scores and the answers, so anticipate that kind of picking back up where it left off after this rain delay.
And there's C.J. Smith. He is on the mound. He becomes the 4th pitcher used by the Bulldogs today. And we had just mentioned, several hours ago while we were playing, how C.J. Smith is number 2 on the list of 2-way players for the Georgia Bulldogs. Aaron Shunk, number 1. C.J. making his 12th appearance and his 9th out of the pen. He's 1-0 with a 0.68 ERA in 26 1/3 innings. He struck out 17. He's walked 9. Opponents batting just 176 against him.
Yeah, and another 2-way player, as you mentioned, just like Shunk, wearing 2 hats. He started at center field in this ball game, now on the mound, and a really great freshman campaign he's put on. It's been great during the midweek games. Got a couple opportunities on the weekends, so I think a good move right here by Coach Strickland. He's got 5 innings to cover, and he's going to basically a midweek starter.
So he'll be facing the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for Arkansas to start this 5th inning. And I see a right-hander warming up and down in the bullpen for Dave Van Horn's team, so I can't get a ID on who that is just yet. But it does appear, as you would expect, that Murphy would be out of the game after the long, right at 2-hour rain delay. I think 4:49 was the start of our lightning delay. It is now 6:50 Eastern time. So Evan Lee, I believe, is warming up. No, it's 57, not 27.
Scroggins.
So Scroggins is warming up. Yeah, that is Cody Scroggins, a redshirt sophomore who's warming up for Arkansas down in the bullpen. He may be the pitcher here, I'm guessing. Put 2 and 2 together with deductive reasoning. He's the next guy in. So Jared Gates will restart play for us here. 2 hours and 2 minutes after we went in delayed. Gates today is 1 for 2, singled in the 2nd, had an RBI ground out in the 3rd inning. So as you might expect, a lot of the folks that were here 2 hours ago have headed home. So this crucial game in the SEC tournament picture resumes in front of a pretty empty stadium. Arkansas with a win today and an Ole Miss loss at Alabama would clinch the Western Division title for the first time since 2011. Georgia with a win would clinch a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament. They can also clinch even if they lose, but 4 other teams would have to lose today for that to happen. There's the 2-0 pitch from C.J. Smith in there for a strike, and it's 2-1. So very fortunate we had been, given the ominous weather forecast here in the state of Georgia. And it's pretty much the same way all around the Southeast right now. I see games being delayed and restarted throughout the course of last night and into today. But we had been pretty fortunate. We got through 13 innings of play before we had our first delay. A full 9 last night and now 4 today. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Got him. So C.J. Smith starts it out with his 18th strikeout of the season.
And nothing too special about that. Just a good old-fashioned fastball. A little bit of sink there at the end. Gets under the bat of Gates. C.J. Smith settling in a little bit. As Georgia has been pitching from behind for the majority of this game. Just really tough time getting in rhythm and finding the strike zone.
Jack Kinley, who had an RBI double his last time up back in the 3rd inning, struck out his first time up. Hits that one, backhanded by Sasser. He knocks it down, gets it to Smith, who can't hold on to it. There might have been a collision with the pitching or the glove arm of C.J. Smith and Kinley at first base. We'll see how they scored that. That was a hot shot off the bat of Kinley down the first base line.
It looks like Sasser just plays the wrong hop right there. Needed to cut it off and get the short hop. Still recovered in time, just a tough feed. That's a difficult feed to receive and a difficult feed to make. See a little bit of a collision there, but didn't look like anything too serious.
Yeah, the ball was actually out of his glove or off of his glove by the time the runner got there. They do score that an error on Sasser. That's his second error of the series. Back to C.J. Smith, whips it to second, Shepard on to first. A 1-6-3 double play, and just like that, Arkansas retired here in the 5th inning. So we reached the halfway point of this game finally after a 2+ hour lightning and rain delay. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th with Arkansas leading Georgia 6-5. Redshirt sophomore right-hander Cody Scroggins becomes the second pitcher used by Dave Van Horn's Razorbacks today out of Bentonville, Arkansas High School, the home of Walmart. If you didn't know that. They haven't used him a lot. This is just his 12th appearance on the entire season, just 8 2/3 innings for the entire season. No record, 5.19 ERA. 12 strikeouts, 7 walks, 5 hits allowed. Opponents batting just 167 against him, and this is just his 6th appearance in conference play with less than 4 innings of work in league action. So an interesting choice here by Dave Van Horn to go with Scroggins out of the rain delay. Think Cronin not available today, or maybe just one batter after going 2 2/3, but Reindl is down there and did not pitch a lot, and Lowski they have not used at all just yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he just thinks Scroggins maybe matches up well with this part of the lineup. Looks like he's got a good live arm, pretty sharp slider, but a little bit of control issue. Just looking at his stats there, the 12 strikeouts, 7 walks, and 8 2/3. So you never know what happened midweek as far as his side session goes. He might just have a good feeling right here. But
yeah, we kind of saw that. Georgia went to Adam Goodman last night and gave him 2 solid innings, and Goodman's a guy they have not used very much in conference play. And I neglected to ask Coach Strickland about that when we met with him in the dugout. That was something I meant to bring up and ask him about Goodman and his performance and going to him in that situation. But like you said, perhaps it was side session looked good. Let's give this kid let's roll him out there, see what he can do.
Yeah, and I thought he did a great job, and his ability to bridge those 2 innings really makes a big impact on this game when you have the rain delay and you have a bad start from Hancock and a tough time for Christofax. You're so deep in your bullpen, you're thankful you didn't have to throw anybody else to get through that ball game.
Well, here's Aaron Schunk. He'll lead off the bottom of the 5th for Georgia. He's already extended his career best hitting streak to 21 games now, closing in on the longest hitting streak in the conference this season. That belongs to Jonathan India, who had a 24-game hitting streak for the Florida Gators earlier in the season. He might be the most outstanding player in the conference. Schunk swings and misses. It's 0-2.
See that good hard breaking ball from Scroggins.
Schunk has driven in 3 of the Bulldogs' 5 runs here today. 2-run homer in the first, and then a sacrifice fly in the second. Behind in the count here to Scroggins, 0-2. Fouled back. Schunk batting .321, 31 points higher than where he finished a year ago at .290. And remember, he played 37 games last year before having his season ended with an injured left thumb, a broken left thumb he suffered at Clemson. Finished with 1 homer and 18 RBI a year ago. 0-2 pitch. They set up outside. They get the call. Nope, I thought they got the called strike there, and they didn't.
Well-located fastball just off the plate.
So 1-2 now to Aaron Schunk. Got him. Was that a slider?
Yeah, I think Scroggins got away with one right here. He kind of hangs it arm side. You see that one didn't break as much as the first two, but that's how good his slider is, where he can get away with a little bit of a backup there. I think Shunk is a little upset with himself at not putting that ball in play, as it kind of hung up there for him to hit.
So one down here in the fifth for Keegan McGovern, singled in the first. Fastball strike from Scroggins. That's 94 on the gun. So as you mentioned in your observation with him warming up, that, kid's got a live arm for sure. McGovern playing in his 212th game here today. That ties him with current Los Angeles Dodger Kyle Farmer for number 10 on Georgia's all-time games played list. 205th start of his career. Sitting at 25 career homers, 116 career RBI, 45 career doubles. 1 ball, 1 strike to McGovern. 2-1. Yeah, you can see how dramatically McGovern's production has jumped this season. Has hit 3 more home runs here as a senior than he had hit combined in his first 3 years on campus. And not just on campus to play baseball, folks. Young man was named to the SEC Community Service Team this week for the 2nd consecutive year. Very involved in extracurricular activities that benefit others. Majors in biology. He is 1 class shy of graduation. 3-1 and a base hit. Got the package and a base hit for McGovern.
And that's the big difference between his previous 3 years and this year. A 3-1 count, advantage count for him. He doesn't get too big on the fastball that he knows is coming. Just takes a nice short, normal hack, and the pitch kind of does the work. He gets a nice crisp single out there to right field.
61st hit of the season. Now, Curry started out the game as the DH. He's now playing right field with C.J. Smith coming in to pitch. And Tucker Maxwell has taken over in center field for the Bulldogs. So those are the changes. And Georgia no longer has the DH in this game. That means the pitcher is batting, whether that is C.J. Smith or whoever ends up pitching after him if he doesn't finish out this game. But I thought the move to C.J. Smith was an interesting move. That ball is hit deep to left field. Michael Curry, did he get enough? He did. It's gone. 30th career home run for Michael Curry. Just put the Georgia Bulldogs back on top.
Wow, and a huge home run right here. You see the fastball misses arm side, trying to go away from Curry. He's so dangerous on the pull side, and I think Curry actually gets under this one a little bit, but he got so much of that thing, it was well gone. Georgia back on top, coming after the rain delay. I thought there might be some more scoring yet to come. So.
Yeah, and there's probably more to come. 9th homer of the season, team leading 45th and 46th RBI for Curry. And as I mentioned, Bulldogs' active career home run leader just hit the 30 plateau. Here's Adam Sasser. Sasser with an RBI single back in the first inning. He's 1 for 2 today. 3 for 7 in the series. 0-1, missed inside. 1-1 to Sasser. What a wild couple of games we've already had in the series. An 8-6 victory for Arkansas last night, and now a 7-6 lead for Georgia here in the bottom of the 5th. Fouled out of play. Now, after you've had a rain like this, I guess it really just depends individually upon the conditions, but it seems like the air has lightened up a little bit now that we've had the rain come. And so the air's not quite as heavy as it was before the rain.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. It feels a little bit lighter.
Yeah. So we might have some more balls traveling out of the yard.
Yeah, I think so. The way that these two teams have kind of been going back and forth in this game offensively, neither offense really giving in or giving up when the other team answers back.
Count goes 2-2 now to Sasser. See, it's lined up, still very overcast here, and hopefully we've seen the last of the rain for the rest of this evening. There's rain all in the forecast all around the southeast, and for tomorrow's series finale as well, which is scheduled for 12 noon on SEC Network. 2-2 pitch, fouled back. Yeah, Arkansas has yet to announce their starting pitcher for Saturday's ball game. Kevin Smith, the left-hander, scheduled to go for Georgia. Although if Georgia wins this game, I'm pretty sure they will scratch Kevin Smith from that start and save him for Wednesday in Hoover. That's just my guess. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Missed. It's now 3-2. Lowski now up for Arkansas in the bullpen, which I was kind of surprised that Barrett Lowski was not the guy that they brought out to resume the game.
Yeah, I was looking at the radar. It doesn't seem as though there's any rain on the way according to the radar. Now, that could always change, and depending on what app you're using as well. So
Kinley throws out Sasser for the second out of the inning.
But my thinking with going with Scroggins is possibly maybe Coach Van Horn thought it would rain again, didn't want to burn Lowski.
Right. Brings Cam Shepard to the plate. He's 1 for 2 in this game, singled in the first, struck out looking in the third. Bulldogs sophomore shortstop who has started every game of his career takes a strike. Georgia at 35-17 overall, 16-12 in the SEC, second in the East, currently the number 4 seed in the SEC tournament picture. We'll take a look at that entire SEC tournament picture here as it stands right now, coming up in the minutes ahead. Get you updated on that, on who has clinched and who has not. I can tell you that out of the 12 spots, 11 have been gained. Now, the exact seeding hasn't been determined, but we know 11 of the 12 teams that will be getting there. So it's now a 2-team battle for the final spot. 0-2 to Shepard. Just got a piece of it. And we're going to be able to update scores pretty soon. I mean, this game started at 3 o'clock Eastern time to try to avoid the weather. Ran into it a little bit with the 2-hour rain delay. So Georgia has gone from the only game being played. It's about to be joined by a whole bunch of them here in the next few minutes. Here's the 0-2 to Shepard. In the air over on the right side. Gates, the first baseman, going to run out of play. Nearly hit a fan in the noggin over there. I don't know. They weren't looking up, and nearly hit him in the head.
Nice souvenir.
So count remains 0-2 to Shepard. Popped up. This one's in play. Martin, the third baseman, calls off the pitcher. Scroggins takes it, and the inning comes to a close. But a productive inning for the Bulldogs as Michael Curry hits home run number 30 of his career. A prodigious shot over the left field wall. Georgia up 7-6 as we head to the 6th. A look at the road to Hoover as it stands right now with just one more day left in the regular season. Florida, the regular season champions, Arkansas has already clinched a spot in the top 4. They're battling for the Western Division crown with Ole Miss. Georgia currently at the 4th spot and can clinch with a victory here today. And then seeds 5 through 12 would be in the one-game elimination round on Tuesday. And seeds 5 through 11, we know those 6 teams that'll get in, or 7 teams that'll get in. The 8th team out of that group, the number 12 seed, is yet to be determined. Ground ball off the bat of Martin, and just did get him. Martin nearly beat it out. Still thinks that he did. He's signaling back to the dugout, I think, for a challenge.
Now batting number 18.
I think they got him just by a half a step, but you see Shepard right there with a little pat of the glove. Just does get him.
Now batting number 18, the left fielder.
Yeah, Martin made that very close. Wow. Surprised they don't review that. Challenge that.
I think first base coach Greg Perry signaled back to the dugout that he thought he was
Yeah,
out
I
as
think
well,
so too. It was interesting. Martin thought that he beat it, and I've got some questions about it even after seeing the replay, but Greg Perry, the first base coach, seemed to think that he was out, and so therefore they're going to go with him and not challenge.
And I'm not so sure that it would have been overturned, you know, incontrovertible evidence being what it is. It looked like on the replay it was close, but maybe not enough to overturn.
Yeah, here's Kerstad, who hit the 2-run bomb back in the first inning, at the time gave Arkansas the lead. Back to the seeding, the 12 seed. One spot left open. That's a battle between Tennessee and Missouri. Kerstad just got hit on the elbow. So he's at first.
Now batting number 17, the designated hitter, Luke Bonfield.
Brings Bonfield to the plate. Bonfield 1 for 3 today. 2 for 6 in the tournament, including his 2-run homer that he hit last night that put Arkansas ahead for good in the 7th inning. Arkansas with 2 runs in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third, scoreless in the 4th and 5th. Georgia 4 runs in the first, 1 in the second, scoreless in the 3rd and 4th, and 2 more in the 5th to reclaim the lead. We've had 4 lead changes in this game. Smith's throw over. (7-6) Georgia on top, trying to even up the series, clinch a spot top 4 in the SEC tournament. You saw that move from C.J. Smith to the plate. Must be very deceptive because Kerstad was stepping back towards first base as C.J. Smith was going to the plate.
Yeah, it could be. There's also, they have a what you call a one-way back lead, where you maybe take a bigger initial lead and then take a step back in anticipation of him throwing over.
Gotcha.
And then you take your secondary, maybe one shuffle, but it just kind of keeps you honest as a runner. You don't want to take off a little bit too early, take it for granted. But C.J. Smith does do a good job of lifting his legs straight up, so it kind of looks like he could go either way.
2-2 pitch on the infield. Shepard at second, on to first. 4-6-3 double play started by Talley, and the Bulldogs erase Kerstad on the base pass and in the inning. C.J. Smith, so far so good for him in relief. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th. Georgia on top, 7-6 at Foley Field. Barrett Losky on to pitch for Arkansas. Junior out of Jinx High School in Tulsa. He has been lights out for the Razorbacks this season. Lowski making his 19th appearance and his 17th out of the pen, 2-1, 3 saves, 3.41 ERA. In 34 1/3 innings, he has struck out 47, 20 walks, and opponents batting just 190 against him this year. So a big strikeout number to innings pitched. He's averaging about 12 to 13 strikeouts per 9 innings. In conference play, making his 10th appearance.
Leading off for the Bulldogs, number 2, the second baseman, LJ Talley.
Got the fastball and a little bit of what Dave Van Horn describes as a flip up and down curveball. A little deception in his delivery, so we'll watch for that. 7, 8, and 9 do it for Georgia here in the bottom of the 6th. Yeah, there's a little, I see what he's talking about, a little funk there in the motion.
Well, he's got the tempo, the quick step in the windup there, but also his release point. It seems to, like he hides the ball really well, almost like he's throwing from his ear like a catcher. So that tends to be a little bit sneakier on batters, and they'll cheat a little bit on the fastball with that quick movement, and then opens up the breaking ball. You can get people out on their front foot.
1 ball, 1 strike from Lowski. It's almost kind of like a quarterback with happy feet, you know, that's under a pass rush and their feet start chopping a little bit. That's kind of what you got there. Although I know his is not like that. This is a timing mechanism for him, I'm assuming.
I would imagine, yeah, just a rhythm thing. You see the happy feet.
Right by Shaddy into center field. Shaddy went full extension, could not come up with it as LJ Talley picks up his first base hit of the ballgame.
Yeah, a good job by Talley here. The tendency, or the tough part when you got a guy with that quick motion and short arm to the plate is, as a hitter, slowing yourself down and not rushing as well. Talley does a good job right there, starting his load very early, getting his foot down and just using his hands to punch a signal right up the middle there.
Mason Meadows been on base twice in this ball game. His RBI singled in the 1st and he walked in the 4th. It's a fastball strike, clock 92 with the radar gun here at Foley Field. Matt Stewart along with Jason Jacobs. Thanks for sticking with us through a long afternoon and a long rain delay. Bottom of the 6th, Georgia leading Arkansas 7-6. Looks like some folks are starting to file back in. There might be some folks who've been working all day and, you know, heck, baseball game's still going on. Let's go check out the end of it.
Yeah, could be thinking that it started at 7, which was the original start time.
There you go. Exactly. Noon, the scheduled start time tomorrow for the series finale. 0-2 pitch. Fastball missed high, 94. The clocking on that one.
And I got to think, you know, with that deception, that short arm, that 94 might look like 96, 97 to the batter. It's difficult when you don't pick it up very early, and the short arm just always seems to be a little jumpier.
There's that curveball that we were talking about. Kind of a flip up and down curveball caught by the first baseman Gates on the pop-up by Meadows, 1 down. Kind of interesting on that curveball that we saw right there. It's not your 12-6.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't match his fastball. It seems like with the velocity, seems a little loopier than you would expect a guy throwing 92 to 94, maybe to have a sharper slider.
Here's Tucker Maxwell batting for the first time. Going to try to bunt his way on. Puts it down. Tess Lowski, who threw him out. That's a nice play by Lowski. A lot of times pitchers have trouble with that. He was right on the mark. Turns into a sacrifice as Talley advances to second.
A heck of a play by Lowski right there. He lost his footing a little bit on that with the wet grass. I'm sure the ball had a little bit of moisture on it as well, so great concentration there by Lowski, fielding his position, getting the speedy Maxwell, who laid down a pretty good bunt.
you know, they score this a sacrifice. That I don't think was the intention. Do you think?
No, I think he was going for a hit, but you see that little slippage right there from the right foot. Yeah, I think that was definitely hit with one out. You're not going to sacrifice yourself to put a runner in scoring position. But
I wouldn't think so. C.J. Smith, now the pitcher, began the game as the center fielder. He's batting for the first time as the pitcher. Swing and a miss. Still looking to extend his hitting streak to 7 games. He's 0 for 2 in this one. He put down a nice sacrifice bunt back in the second. Led to the Bulldogs' 5th run of the ball game. 0-1 pitch. Fastball from Lowski out of the zone. 95 for that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tally off the bag at second. High and tight with the fastball that time. 2-1. Lowski, 2 appearances in the Texas A&M series with a save. Worked 2 innings, allowed a run, a couple of hits, a walk, and 1 strikeout. Picked up his 3rd save of the season, working the final inning in 2/3 of Saturday's 3-1 win. That was a game that Murphy started. And then he came on and got the final 2 outs of Sunday's game, the 6-3 win on 5 pitches. 2-1 late. Lowski just pumped that one by C.J. Smith. It's 2-2.
And you see that 94 miles an hour just sneaking up on the hitter in a fastball count. C.J. Smith a little bit late.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs. And Tally out there at second.
It's always tough in this situation to call the pitch because you feel like you got him set up for a breaking ball right here, but C.J. Smith being a little bit late on the fastball, the last thing you want to do is speed his bat up and allow him to pull one in that 4-hole.
Some blue sky actually showing here at Foley Field. Maybe a little sunlight, too. 2-2 pitch. Got C.J. Smith with the fastball strikeout, and that'll bring the inning to a close. Lowski getting his first strikeout of the afternoon. We're headed to the 7th. Georgia leading Arkansas 7-6 here in Athens. Around the SEC, like I said, we've got some action underway. Top of the 2nd. LSU and Auburn are scoreless. Auburn won the opener to get to 14-14 in the conference. And, you know, LSU is kind of on the bubble. We'll talk about that in a moment. They need some wins this weekend in all probability. Ole Miss, Alabama, they're scoreless top of the 2nd in Tuscaloosa. Mississippi State won last night at the series opener. They're leading Florida 2-0 now in the bottom of the 1st, and everything else is getting ready to start in the next 4 or 5 minutes. But LSU, they're 14-14 in the conference. They've got, I think they're right at 30-31 wins, if I'm not mistaken.
Leading off for Arkansas, number 24, the center fielder, Dominic Pleasant.
Sheet, where are they? They're at 32 wins. Yeah, they've got, their RPI, though, is not good. They might be out of the teams, and they're talking about possibly 11 teams, which would be a record. 11 teams from the SEC getting into the NCAA regionals. We'll wait and see how things play out with all the other conference tournaments, because there may be some spots that they thought would be open that close because of upsets in other tournaments maybe. I would think on the back end for the SEC, you know, a Mississippi State, maybe, you know, an LSU might be a little bit in trouble there. Long foul ball by Fletcher out of play.
Be interesting to see. It really is kind of a strange year in that you got Florida clear top, Alabama clear bottom, and then everybody in the middle there is pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. Wow. C.J. Smith cranked that one by him. Elevated the fastball. It clocked at 89. It just looked a lot faster because it was elevated and tied him up inside.
Well, I think C.J. Smith has a little bit of that deception that Losky has. Obviously, Losky's at the mid-90s with the deception, but you know, the change in speed is really what gets the hitter. Once you time the fastball, the change in speed is what gets you. You just have less margin for error the harder they throw, but C.J. Smith hides the ball pretty well, has a short arm action, and that's a little bit different for a lefty. As you saw him when he turned that double play, that 1-6-3, a good, almost like an infielder throw for a left-hander and a left-handed pitcher. That's an uncommon thing to see. It helps that he plays a position, so. But I think he has a little bit of that sneaky fastball, even though the gun says 89, it could seem more like a 92, 93.
1-1 pitch in there for a strike, and it's now 1-2 to Carson Shaddy. Shaddy with a base hit his last time up in the fourth. He is 1 for 3 today. Watched it all the way in. Count goes 2-2 to Shaddy. Shaddy came in fourth in the SEC with a .363 batting average. Hits that breaking ball into left field. It's going to be run down out there rather casually by Keegan McGovern and make that look easy on a shot to the track. 2 down.
Yeah, that goes back to that conversation we had pregame when Coach Strickland was really talking about McGovern's defense, how he's a sneakily good defender, doesn't get a lot of credit for how good a defender that he is. And he ran that one down. Great jump, initial jump. He moves well for a big guy, and like you said, he made that look easy off the bat. I thought it had extra bases on it.
Grant Cook doubled and scored in the second, walked and scored in the third, and grounded out in the fourth. '56th all-time meeting between Arkansas and Georgia, and Bulldogs trying to snap a 6-game losing streak in the series. And the Razorbacks have actually won 10 of the last 11 games between these two teams. Lead the overall series 34-21. And the Razorbacks have scored 8 runs or more in 5 of the last 6 games against Georgia, including last night's victory. 3-0 pitch to Cook is a strike. Bulldogs have not won a series from the Razorbacks since 2011 when they took 2 out of 3. 3-1 pitch to Cook. Breaking ball dropped in there for a strike. Now 3-2. C.J. Smith is a guy that might be playing himself into a even bigger role from a pitching standpoint as the Bulldogs head into postseason. Missed with the fastball right there as Cook draws the 2-out walk.
Yeah, I definitely think that he's going to play a role in the postseason. On probably both sides of the ball. He's done a good job at the plate. Defense is coming along. I think his jumps aren't quite as good as Maxwell, who plays center field. Probably the better defender at center field. But I think C.J. Smith on the mound has looked really, really good in some big spots.
Gates batting for the second time since we resumed play in the 5th. Struck out back in the 5th. I think C.J. Smith might be your number 4 starter.
I definitely think so, yeah. I mean, if you're thinking Kevin Smith is a number 3, unless they want to use him out of the bullpen, which what a luxury to have that he can do both.
Chopper to Talley, tosses to Shepard, inning over. Time for the 7th inning stretch in Athens, Georgia, leading Arkansas 7-6. This is how the Bulldogs reclaimed the lead in the 5th. A 3-2 pitch, solid base hit for Keegan McGovern set the stage for Michael Curry to hit his 30th career home run over the left field wall. And Georgia leads at 7-6 as they bat here in the bottom of the 7th. A look at the offensive comparison between the two teams here today. You see that Arkansas's had almost 3 times as many opportunities with runners in scoring position. And Arkansas has left 8 on. Georgia has left only 3.
Yeah,
and the Bulldogs perhaps closing in on clinching a top 4 spot in the SEC tournament.
And really, Arkansas, leaving those guys on, they had 5 walks there in the first 3 innings. Georgia did on the mound, walking a lot of batters, and Arkansas couldn't quite cash in on those opportunities. So Georgia taking advantage of theirs here early on, but I have a feeling the scoring hasn't completed for this game, so I would be shocked to see it end 7-6.
Nice breaking ball from Lowski right there. Had Shunk chasing. It's 0-1. Missed inside with the breaking ball that time. It's 1-1. So if Georgia were able to hold on and win here today, they clinch a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament. Georgia has, quote unquote, nothing to play for tomorrow, while Arkansas still has much to play for, as the Western Division title will still be up for grabs.
That'd be interesting. I mean, do you think if Georgia were able to win here, do you think that kind of guarantees them that national seed, or would they have to take tomorrow? Would they be playing for that tomorrow?
I mean, I think it's, that's just nothing that we could possibly know. Florida's obviously getting a national seed. I think Arkansas is. So that's 2 of them right there. Is Ole Miss getting 1? Strong possibility, I would say yes. And so Georgia would be a 4th team out of the conference, possibly lining up to get a national seed. Lined and off of Kinley's glove into shallow center field. Big wide turn by Shunk, and he'll head back to first base. We'll see how they score that. Personally, I think that has to be an error.
Boy, Shunk really squares this thing up just right at Kenley. Has difficulty just squeezing it right there as that ball just jumped right off of Shunk's bat. He's been really squaring up almost everything he swings at here as of late.
That is the 5th error committed by Arkansas in this series. And if there's reason to be concerned about Arkansas heading into the postseason, I think it's the defense that maybe gives you a little reason to pause for a moment.
It does. It puts them a little bit behind the 8 ball. Now they have the offense to kind of cover up for that. But it is something that they are probably going to look to clean up here heading into the postseason. I
mean, if you're breaking down all 3 phases of the game, the hitting, the pitching, they got that covered. It's the fielding where they've got some issues, and when you get into postseason play and every game you're playing is tight and every game is almost to keep your season going, you just can't make mistakes like they've made in this series.
Yeah, when you're playing against good competition, it's usually the team that has to get the least amount of outs. In other words, when you make that error, you give them an extra out. It makes it a lot tougher.
Ground ball hit to Shaddy, tosses to Kinley. Kinley will not be able to get the throw off accurately. So McGovern safe at first on a fielder's choice.
Yeah, Kinley again kind of fumbles the exchange here a little bit. It looked like a tailor-made double play, really, and you see Shunk peeling off. I think if Kenley exchanges that ball cleanly, I think McGovern's definitely out at first, and that extra out again had a chance to make up for the error and eliminate that extra out, but it stays out there on first, and now Lowski's got to face Curry coming off the big home run in his last at-bat.
Curry hit that one off of Scroggins. Breaking ball strike from Lowski, 1-1. Curry hit 10 home runs a year ago as a sophomore. He's at 9 now here in his junior season. 2-1. It said that there were 5 errors made by Arkansas. I believe it's only 4. Chased high on the elevated fastball. They called a balk instead. Balk called on Lowski.
And a good job there by Curry. It's always tough to pull the trigger, but when you hear that balk called and the pitch is delivered, you get to take the better of the two. So that's the time you kind of come out of your shoes. Not sure where the balk was. Looked like he came to a complete stop. So Coach Van Horn's a little upset about that call.
Giving Jacob Asher an earful right now. So McGovern out at second in scoring position, and a 2-1 count for Curry. Lowski, 94 on the gun. Pumps that by Curry. It's 2-2.
I think it may come. It looks like Lowski almost sets twice, where he brings his throwing hand into the glove, but then kind of resets his foot. And maybe Asher did not see enough of a stop.
Time was called by Curry. I see what you're saying. It's almost kind of like 2 stops, right?
And as long as he does that consistently, that's okay. But if he doesn't come to a discernible stop after that second stop, I think that's what he was calling.
Ball hitting the air over on the right side, going to be out of play. Bulldogs' best season since 2009. They went 38-24 that season. They're at 35-17 right now. They were eliminated in the NCAA Tallahassee Regional that year. Last time they hosted was 2008. They're going to get an opportunity to break that dry spell this year. 2-2 pitch to Curry. Hit foul over into the dugout. Last time the Bulldogs hosted, 2008, they reached the National Championship Series in Omaha. In fact, the Bulldogs have a very good record when they host. They are 21-7 in NCAA regionals in Athens and 16-0 in elimination games in regionals here. So you see the importance of that home field advantage. Chopper on the infield, slow roller, could be trouble. But nice play by Martin to get it over there. McGovern advancing to third on the play, and now 2 down in the inning.
Great concentration there from Martin as he had to avoid McGovern there going to his glove side. Very easy right there to lose sight of the ball when you're blinded.
No doubt.
Looked like he had great focus and had plenty of time with Curry running.
Here's Sasser with 2 down in the inning. Fouled that one back. Sasser with another RBI here today. Gives him 26 in conference play. That leads the Georgia team. And he's now at 41. All the way to the backstop. Here comes Keegan McGovern. He slides and he is out. And here comes Scott Strickland. He's going to challenge that call. So this is going to be a challenge by Scott Strickland.
I think McGovern may have gotten under the tag, but I'm not sure if his left foot ever touched home plate. I think it may have come up short. Just from the naked eye, we'll obviously see better on the replay, I would imagine.
So they're going to go under the hood here and take another look at this thing.
But I do think the tag from Cook was a little bit high on McGovern. But I'm not sure his left foot ever got to home.
Don't you miss, though, the argument?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have just been a knockdown, drag-out argument right there. Instead, it's just like, let's check it. Wow, I don't know. You take a look at it right there. Let's see if this is a better look for us. Ball came right back to Cook, making it a play at the plate.
Oh, his foot did touch home.
I don't know. I think on the replay, McGovern might have gotten in there. Here's another look at it right here. Can we back it up just a little bit? Yeah, can we back it back? Let's go back just a little bit. Okay. Take it back a little bit more. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, looks like he got him right there. I think. It's hard to tell because the mitt is kind of blurred.
Did he tag his front leg or did he tag his back leg? I think if he...
Yeah, I think they got it right. I do. Good call by home plate umpire Jacob Asher. And the 7th comes to an end with McGovern out at home plate. We'll head to the 8th. Georgia on top, 7-6. You know, they often say in the state of Georgia, if you don't like the weather, just wait a couple of hours. It will change. This was about 4:50 this afternoon, about 10 minutes to 5. And now here you go, about 3 hours later, this is what it looks like. Like nothing happened. Blue skies overhead, and maybe that's a good sign for the series finale tomorrow as well at 12 noon. Got a pinch hitter here for Kinley. McFarland going to bat for him, Jordan McFarland. McFarland, the sophomore out of Waterloo, Illinois. Playing in his 43rd game. He's batting .307 on the year and hits this one on the ground to tally. And McFarland moves pretty quick. But he's out number 1.
Now batting number 8, right fielder Eric Cole.
So we'll wait and see who comes in and plays shortstop in the bottom of the 8th. As you know, Jax Biggers has been sidelined with a fractured finger. Here's Eric Cole. Cole with a couple of RBI singles today, also grounded into a 1-6-3 double play back in the 5th. Two balls and no strikes. Top of the 8th. All zeros except for that 2 Georgia hung on the board in the bottom of the 5th since we resumed play from the rain delay.
C.J. Smith has been outstanding.
Yeah, I think C.J. Smith is auditioning for a prominent role from a pitching standpoint in postseason play. Although he just walked Cole on 4 pitches.
Yeah, I think the only blemish really to his outing so far has been he's fallen behind a couple of times 3-0. Been able to come back the previous 2 times.
And don't go celebrating just too soon. We've seen already in this series how quickly Arkansas can flip the script and turn the game in their favor. They did that in the 7th inning last night. And now they have the go-ahead run at the plate in Martin. And all these guys coming up, Martin, Kerstad, Bonfield, Fletcher, Shaddy, all have big swing of potential to knock it out of the yard.
Yeah, you wonder how soon Coach Strickland will be willing to go to Shunk at third base.
Yep, he has not yet appeared in this series. Shunk has not worked since Sunday's 4-1 win at Florida. He pitched a 1-2-3 ninth to pick up his 8th save. 1-1 pitch, ball in the air, and Maxwell, can he get to it? He can. Going to fall in the gap. They're going to have runners at 2nd and 3rd, and just like that, the go-ahead run is in scoring position. Well, what had I just said about Arkansas? And here they are, they're back in business just like that in the 8th after a 4-pitch walk.
And that ball just a little off the end of the bat, put enough spin on it that it just kept running away from Maxwell's. He had a pretty good jump and beat on it, but just kept tailing. Does a good job of taking a deeper angle. Last night we saw the misplayed ball on Fletcher's dying quail out there that ended up getting by him.
Man, that Casey Martin, that is his 5th hit of this series, and he's been on base 7 times in the first 2 games. Here's Kjerstad. We already know what he can do. He already hit a 2-run bomb in this game back in the first. No activity in the Georgia bullpen, and as I say that, now there is some. I think Proctor walking around down there. But I think at this point, you're right. It would be Shunk would be the guy they go to. But Proctor's going to start throwing. 1 ball and no strikes to Kjerstad. Hit by a pitch his last time up. And ahead in the count now 2-0. So as soon as we had been lauding the accomplishments of C.J. Smith, he runs right into the frying pan with the 4-pitch walk and then turned up the heat full blast with the double by Martin. (2-0). Chop foul, 2-1. So Cole at third base, the tying run. Martin at second base, the go-ahead run. You gotta love the resiliency of these Arkansas bats, and at the same time Georgia too. I mean, both teams are just really not really giving it at all offensively. It's made for a fun series.
I think both of these lineups are just, there's potential for something to happen every inning, no matter what part of the lineup you're in, especially in the middle parts, though.
Swing and a miss by Kjerstad, and it's now 2-2.
C.J. Smith taking a little something off the fastball there. The 2-0 fastball was about 85, and that one 84. So taking a little bit of something off, getting some action on that downward action there, and Kjerstad unable to lay off of it.
2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 aboard for the Razorbacks, and 1 down here, top of the 8th. Kjerstad, chopper on the infield. That's going to get a run home. Talley going to throw to first to get the out there, and the game is tied at 7. Cole touches the plate, and Martin advances to third. Now 2 down in the inning. So a productive out, 3rd RBI of the day for Kjerstad.
And a good job there by Kjerstad, understanding the situation. Just need to put something in play to guarantee tying up the ball game. Does a great job at doing that. It looks like there's going to be a switch.
Yep, C.J. Smith is going to go back to center field, I believe. Shunk's going to come in to pitch. Or is that what's happening here? C.J.
Yeah, Shunk's going to come in. Looks like Trey Logan will go to second base. Talley will go to third.
Yeah, and Maxwell's going to come out of the game, I think. Wow. Crazy pitching change right here that involves position changes as well. We'll update you when we get back. Aaron Shunk on to pitch, and some position changes. We'll update you on that in a moment. Let's talk about Shunk here for a moment. 7 for 8 in save opportunities, all in the SEC. He's got 8. Well, he's got 8 saves now. He picked up his 8th save against Florida on Sunday. You take a look at the numbers. 2.35 ERA, 23 innings. He struck out 23. And the position changes for the Bulldogs. I mean, you don't get this in Major League Baseball. You don't get stuff like this in Major League Baseball. Pretty interesting here. So C.J. Smith goes back to center field. And Tucker Maxwell comes out of the game. Trey Logan takes over at second base because L.J. Talley has moved to third to replace Shunk. So in your batting order, if you're keeping score at home, don't know that anybody does that anymore. But if you were, Logan is now batting 9th.
All kinds of shuffling going on, but I like this move right here, bringing Shunk in to face the righty and Bonfield and you know, not much to Shunk. He throws strikes. I think that's the biggest number I saw there. Obviously, you see the strikeouts, 18 in just 23 innings of work, but the 4 walks is most impressive to me, especially in late innings. The last thing you want to do is give away any free passes. So I like this move. I think, you know, hopefully you take the pass or the wild pitch out of play as Shunk is around the zone, and he pitches to contact, and the strikeouts just kind of happen.
Right, yeah. I think the real key with Shunk is his slider has late break.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia hitters who face him in their intra-squad games say it's hard to pick up because it's got a late break to it. So watch that and see if you see that yourself as he faces Bonfield here with 2 outs and the go-ahead run at third base. Starts him out with the slider. Ball 1.
And to add to the toughness in picking it up, there's still some sunlight on the batter's eye, the hitting background.
Mm-hmm.
And Shunk is in the shade, so that has a bit of an effect on the hitter, too, picking the ball up.
Here's the 1-0 to Bonfield. That's a fastball strike. 90 on the gun, and there's the sunlight reflecting off that batter's eye that you were talking about just a few moments ago. Bonfield was the hero last night. 2-run blast off of Losey on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball that he sent over the wall in right center field. And time called by Bonfield. Bonfield, one of the few ball players that were a member of the 2015 team that made it to the College World Series. He was a freshman back then, very little used freshman. Career got off to a very rocky start. 1-1, ball hit in the air, right side. Let's see if anybody can get to it. Down the line, Sasser foul territory, makes the grab, and the inning comes to a close. Shunk stops the rally with the go-ahead run at third base. But Arkansas pulls even as we head to the bottom of the 8th. We're tied at 7. Well, everybody quickly catching up with Georgia and Arkansas here that started at 3 o'clock Eastern. They're in the 4th. LSU, Auburn scoreless. 4th at Alabama, Ole Miss and Crimson Tide scoreless. 3rd in Starkville. Mississippi State leading Florida 4-2. They have yet to start at Vanderbilt. They got weather there. 2nd scoreless in College Station. 2nd in Columbia, Missouri, where if Missouri wins, they'll lock up the 12th and final berth in the SEC tournament. If Tennessee wins, that means tomorrow's game will decide who gets that 12th spot. Adam Sasser starts the bottom of the 8th for the Bulldogs. We're tied at 7. .28 total runs scored here in the first 2 games between these 2 teams. That ball is socked into shallow center field, and Fletcher can't get to it. Sometimes it's not how hard you hit it, but where you hit it, and Sasser gets the base hit, and Georgia will pinch run for him here with Ivan Johnson.
Great job there by Sasser getting the leadoff hit. Like you mentioned, not how hard you hit it, but where you hit it. Fletcher hesitated just a hair as that ball was hit right at him, not sure whether to break in or back, and was just enough for it to fall in front of him.
And Wes Johnson, the pitching coach, out there to visit with Losky in the infield.
Be interesting to see how Coach Strickland plays this, if he wants to straight sacrifice Shepard in this situation. Maybe go with the hit and run. Johnson has some speed there, pinch running for Sasser at first. Saw him score on an E2 all the way from first base against Tennessee.
Well, what would you do?
I think I'd play it by the books and just go straight sacrifice in this situation. Talley and Meadows have proven to be clutch in the right situation, so I think that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. You got Logan now in the 9 hole, so you would hope that one of those 2 players did it, but Logan can, maybe with 1 out in first and third situation, Logan's a good bunter. He might be able to push something on the right side as a safety squeeze opportunity may present itself.
So Ivan Johnson on the pinch run for Sasser. That means the Bulldogs lose that bat if we go extras. But they're hoping that's not the case. That's why they got Ivan Johnson in there, to try to get that run across and make sure there aren't extras here today. So he's aboard, nobody out. Here's Cam Shepard. We'll know shortly whether Georgia's bowling. We already know Georgia's going to try to bunt it here. And Shepard fouled it back on the screen.
Lowski with that motion, it's difficult to bunt off of that too. That sneaky kind of four seam, a little bit of rise at the end. You really got to aim for the top part of that ball.
Shepard does not have a sacrifice bunt this season out of Georgia's 27. But gets this one down. Nope, it's foul. So now he's 2 strikes quickly, and the bunt's going to be off.
They're probably going to keep Johnson tight over there at first base, maybe with a couple of picks here. Possibly an elevated fastball. Van Horn is not scared to go back-to-back pitch outs either. So now it becomes a little bit of a guessing game.
0-2, foul back. Ten hits now for Georgia today. They've stranded only 3. Arkansas 9 hits. They've stranded 9. Georgia trying to even up the series, clinch a spot in the SEC tournament's top 4 seeds. Count now 1-2. Arkansas trying to move a step closer. They can clinch at least a share of the SEC West with the win here. They can win it outright if they win and Ole Miss loses. Count now 2-2. Arkansas is already guaranteed that they don't play until Wednesday in Hoover. They're locked into a top 4 seed. 2-2 pitch. Ball hit in the air. Deep center field. Fletcher giving a chase back to the track and now stops in front of the track to get the out, and there's one down.
I was going to say I think Johnson may have messed up there in not tagging, but that throw from Fletcher, boy, he off his back foot, he carried it all the way to second base. I think if Johnson had tried to tag, that throw might beat him.
So now 1 down, and here's Talley. Talley 1 for 3 today, singling his last time up. Pop up and a fly out in his first 2 times to the plate. 2 for 7 in the series. We started 5+ hours ago. Had a 2-hour rain delay after 4 innings. And Georgia came back trailing 6-5. Got 2 in the 5th to take the lead, and then Arkansas responded with 1 in the top of the 8th to tie it. 1-0 pitch. 2-0 now from Lowski.
See Lowski missing up and arm side, trying to speed that delivery up to home in anticipation of Johnson trying to take second base. That's the effect that speed can have on a pitcher in his command and location.
2 balls and no strikes to Talley. Fouled back 2-1. Lowski was the SEC and the Baseball Writers National Pitcher of the Week 3 weeks ago. Over 3 appearances, went 8 1/3 scoreless innings with a couple of saves, a win, 17 strikeouts in 8+ innings, and allowed just 2 hits. 10 of those 17 came in a 5-1 win against Texas Tech. 2-1 pitch to Talley. Missed low, it's 3-1.
Now he called that a strike.
Oh, did he?
The late call from Jacob Asher.
2-2, yeah, I didn't even see him signal.
Very nonchalant. I was on the edge of my seat wondering where that pitch was for a little while, too.
I didn't see him signal it. 2-2. So pardon me. Ball in the air, slicing away. Long run by the left fielder, Kerstad, to get there. Now there's 2 down. kind of sliced back towards Kerstad as it was hit toward the alley, and now 2 down with Ivan Johnson still standing at first. Right-hander up for Arkansas down there.
Might be Reindl.
Yeah, Reindl pitched last night, faced just 3 batters. And it is Jake Reindl. Cronin, their closer, who picked up his 10th save last night through, I think, 38, 39 pitches, right at that number, 2 2/3. Van Horn said possibly available today to a left-hander and 1 batter maybe in a win the game type situation.
And I would imagine that would be McGovern if there was a chance.
I would think so, yep. Because Sasser is no longer in the game for you. Trying to keep Ivan Johnson close to keep Georgia from doing anything to get him to second base.
It's a tough spot you're in now, because if Johnson does steal second base, you can always just pitch around Meadows, and you're facing Logan.
Get to Logan. And there goes Johnson. Ball hit in the air. Kind of in no man's land. Long run and a diving catch made by the right fielder, Cole. Stumbling as he got to the foul line and making the grab even though he lost his feet. Big defensive play by Cole right there to end the inning. And we'll head to the 9th, tied at 7. Arkansas trying to clinch their first SEC Western Division championship since 2011. They have a 1-game lead on Ole Miss. A victory by the Razorbacks here today, coupled with an Ole Miss loss, would clinch the outright championship for Arkansas. In the event of a tie, they would be called co-champions, even though Ole Miss won the regular season series in Oxford, and that would give Ole Miss the higher seeding at the SEC tournament, for what that's worth.
Yeah, the difference between 2 and 3
means they would be in the same bracket against each other.
That's right.
So, and the 4 seed means that you get in the same bracket with number 1 Florida. But, you know, I mean, the SEC tournament is quite frankly, for these 2 teams, the SEC tournament is going to mean nothing really for Georgia and for Arkansas. It's just a couple more games, and, you know, most teams go there, quite frankly, just hoping not to, you know, mess up their pitching for the NCAA regionals. It's very rare with the strength of the Southeastern Conference and where it has grown to from a national prominent standpoint and RPIs. It's very rare that teams go to Hoover really with an opportunity to kind of change their NCAA resume. They're pretty much locked in. They're either going to get there or not, and most of them are.
I think the only thing that Georgia could really get is maybe that national seed if they were to get a couple of wins, if they weren't able to win the series here.
Yeah, I think Georgia could be in jeopardy of not being a national seed if they lose this series to Arkansas. And perhaps you're right, maybe they gain it back by playing well in Hoover, if that were the case. A lot of conjecture on our part. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Fletcher. Swing and a miss. Shunk with the strikeout, and 1 down in the 9th.
Now batting number 20, the second baseman, Carson Shaddy.
And you see that late slider. That one kind of hung up a little bit. Fletcher swinging underneath it. Perhaps Shunk benefited from throwing that little cement mixer, the one that spins but doesn't break.
Yeah. Shaddy 1 for 4 today and has struck out twice. Shaddy, number 4 in the conference in batting when the day started, number 2 in on-base percentage, number 3 in slugging percentage. Ball hit in the air, deep right field, but there's room out there for Curry. And there's 2 down. First time the ball's found Curry out there since he came in and took over in right field.
Which is rare. Usually it finds you right away.
Exactly. Almost to the point you forgot he was out there. Here's Grant Cook. Been on base 3 times today. Scored twice. Had a double back in the second. His 5th of the season. That ball is hit to left field, but off the end of the bat, and McGovern is there. 3 up, 3 down for Shunk in the 9th. Bulldogs go back to the dugout, a chance to win it in this at-bat as we head to the bottom of the 9th, tied at 7. Here on our last day of the regular season, the top 4 seeds right now would be Florida at 1, Arkansas 2, Ole Miss at 3, and Georgia at 4. Georgia can nail down that 4 seed with a win here today. South Carolina remains alive, but a Georgia win eliminates everybody else. But South Carolina, Vandy, Auburn, and LSU all still alive in the running for a top 4 seed as of this very moment. 9, 1, and 2 due up for Georgia here in the bottom of the 9th. Trey Logan, seldom used, gets a big at-bat here in the 9th inning. And then you've got C.J. Smith and Aaron Shunk. Trey Logan is 1 for 5 the entire season. Like I said, he rarely gets up there with a bat. That's a slow roller. Martin cuts in front of Kinley, throws, ball pops out of Gates' glove, and he is safe. And Trey Logan makes something happen here to start this 9th inning. Big hustle, collision with Gates. Gates might be shaken up a little bit. He's looking at his arm. And the wild throw by Kinley pulled Gates off the bag. The tag looks like it hit Logan right in the face. And that is the definition of a bang-bang play right there. Clotheslined him, really. What a big hustle play by the seldom-used Trey Logan to come up big and give Georgia a base runner to start this 9th inning. What do you do?
I think you got to stay with the script and bunt right here.
You bunt and get him to scoring position for Shunk. C.J. Smith fouls off the first bunt attempt. So then, if you do that, does Arkansas walk Shunk to get to McGovern and bring in Cronin? Well, Cronin's not throwing, so he's not even up. So that's out of the script.
I think you pitch Shunk safely, very carefully, I should say, with that open base and the double play in order if you walk him. You got to get the bunt down first if you're Georgia.
You can forget about that now because it's 0-2.
And again, I think it's just a tall task, a very difficult thing to bunt against a guy like Lowski.
And by the way, if you were wondering, that was an error scored on Martin. That's his 3rd error of the series.
Yeah, tough one to wear. Really the only guy that had a chance in a difficult throw on a wet ball.
A play. Yeah, sure. He was trying to make a play. And all those things that you said are true.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to rush the throw. It's a wet ball. Bang, bang play that Georgia won.
Incredible hustle by Trey Logan. Always tough to get out of the box when you get jammed up like that.
1-2, they're going to try to bunt again. Popped it up, and it's caught by Lowski. Throws to first, they doubled him up. What a play by Barrett Lowski. Sports Center top 10 right there. Wow, how about Lowski to field his position? Super play.
You said it, top 10 play right there. You know, rule of thumb as a pitcher, you never leave your feet in the infield because typically if you miss that ball, you roll over it and both guys are safe. But Lowski right here just laying out presence of mind to throw from his knees.
Hashtag SC Top 10 nominee by Barrett Lowski right there to double off Trey Logan on the pop-up bunt by C.J. Smith with 2 strikes. That is a great play right there. 2 down here in the 9th. And now the base is empty for Aaron Schunk. Ball 1 to Schunk. Wow, that changed the inning now, didn't it?
Completely. And Lowski did a good job of kind of stepping off the back of the mound and gathering himself because he was pretty pumped up after making that big play.
Yeah, slow down the heart rate again. Let's get back into our pitching rhythm.
Still probably riding a little bit high from that play. I mean, he was jacked afterwards. Good celebration. Knows the gravity of the situation.
So 1 ball, no strikes after Lowski may have saved the inning for Arkansas with his defense. Schunk with a 21-game hitting streak extended early in the game with his 2-run homer in the first. 3 RBI for Schunk. 2 balls and no strikes. Fastball, 2-1.
Well, I said 91 on the gun, but I feel like it was a little bit harder. Maybe gun misfired because it was up and in a little bit, but
it looked like it had some giddy up.
It had some steam behind it.
2 balls, 1 strike. Fouled back. Count even 2-2. Seven ball game. Bottom of the 9th at Foley Field. 2 teams with a lot to play for here. What's turned into a beautiful Friday night in Athens after a stormy day resulted in a 2-hour rain and lightning delay for us here. 3-2.
Lowski's been looking at that finger a few times after pitches. Really, after the 2-0, he started looking at it.
Bent it back a little bit or something?
Yeah, maybe a blister. I'm not sure.
Okay, you're thinking more. I was thinking more of he might have hurt it on the defensive play. 3-2 pitch. Got him. Elevated the fastball. Pumped it by him. And Schunk is done. Headed back to the dugout to get his glove to come back out and pitch in the 10th. What a play by Barrett Lowski, SportsCenter Top 10 nominee. Sends us to extra innings. Top of the 10th inning. Twilight here in Athens, Georgia. 7-7 in game 2 of this 3-game series. Georgia jumped down to a 4-2 lead after 1, and Arkansas, as they have done in this series, has battled back. Did that last night with a 6-run 7th inning to beat Georgia 8-6. And Aaron Schunk back out there after coming on with 2 outs in the 8th. So working his 2nd full inning here.
And the beauty of Schunk and his style of closer is in this situation, he's only had 11 pitches, gotten 4 outs in 11 pitches, so he's very efficient and could take you deep into extra innings should Georgia have to go there.
So Jared Gates, the first baseman, will lead things off, and then the shortstop Hunter Wilson will follow. And then Eric Cole, the 3 due up for Arkansas here in the top of the 10th. Gates with 1 hit today. That was his first time up back in the 2nd. Drove in a run with a ground out in the 3rd and pops this one out of play. One thing that the rain did was really cool things off. Typically on May 18th, a Friday night, it'd be sweltering probably, and it's very, very nice weather here after the rains. Oh, 1 pitch. in there for a strike, and it's 0-2. Breaking ball that dropped outside, 1-2 to Jared Gates. Gates is 1 for 6 in the series. Backed him off with the fastball, 2-2. No activity in either bullpen. 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3, and Gates becomes Shunk's second strikeout victim.
Just a small adjustment from the 1-2 to the 2-2. Brings it in a hair. So tough to pull the trigger as a hitter. There's not much difference in those pitches, about 3 or 4 inches.
Hunter Wilson batting for the first time since coming in as a defensive replacement after Kenley was pinch hit for by Jordan McFarland back in the 8th inning. Hunter Wilson actually was the starting first baseman last night. And then 0 for 2. So his third plate appearance of the series. 0 for 2 with a strikeout last night before they pinch hit for him. 1 ball, 1 strike to Hunter Wilson. Wilson, 4th-year junior out of Spiro, Oklahoma. Started his college career at Stephen F. Austin, continued it at Eastern Oklahoma State before winding up in Fayetteville. Playing in his 24th game, .262 batting average. No homers, 8 RBI, a couple of doubles. 2 balls and a strike to Wilson. Hit out of play, 2-2. You kind of get the feeling that we're sitting on a powder keg. I mean, somebody, one of these teams getting ready to blow. Arkansas is getting ready to get around to the top of their order.
That's right.
And they're big guns. And Georgia's got McGovern and Curry due up in the bottom of the 10th. Their 2 biggest guns left in the lineup. 2-2 pitch. Tapper foul. Sullivan, of course, is now at first base. If we had not said that, came in for Sasser when they pinch ran for him in the 8th inning. And Sullivan is Georgia's best defensive first baseman. As Coach Strickland often likes to say, Sasser, he feels like the best starting first baseman defensively in the SEC. Sullivan is an elite first baseman in Strickland's mind. Count now 3-2 to Hunter Wilson.
Good at bat here by Hunter Wilson. Spoiling some pitches. Gone from 0-2 to 3-2.
7th pitch of the AB here. Called strike 3. Hunter Wilson had flipped the bat away. And he can just pick it up on his way back to the dugout. Back-to-back strikeouts looking by Shunk.
And back-to-back strikeouts looking on inside fastballs, almost an identical pitch that he struck Gates on, the previous batter. A good job there. Got a good feel for that side of the plate right now.
Here's the dangerous Eric Cole. Been on base 4 times today. A couple of RBI singles. He's walked twice. Both times he walked, he ended up scoring.
And the next 6 hitters are very, very dangerous here for Arkansas as they get into the meat of their order.
Strike 1 to Cole. $18 for 50 since moving into the leadoff spot. Coach Dave Van Horn told us that Cole is actually very excited about it when they called him into his office and asked him, what he thought about moving him back to the leadoff spot, which is a spot that he has hit in quite often in his career. That's a foul ball out of play. Did it in high school, did it last year. And Cole, no doubt, that's been a smart move by Dave Van Horn. Not many that he makes that aren't.
That's right.
One ball and 2 strikes to Eric Cole with 2 outs here in the top of the 10th. Ball 2.
I'm not so sure Shunk's going to go back to that inside part of the plate here with Cole.
Sliced into left field for a base hit. Good piece of hitting there by Eric Cole to pick up his 3rd hit of the game. And on base now for the 5th time. Prototypical leadoff hitter. That's what you want him to do.
Yeah, and I think Shunk had to go away right here just to defend against that one swing. Going down on the one swing,
right,
go ahead run. So he had to go away, and I think Cole was very aware of that. Good swing right there, taking his single the other way.
So Cole aboard the go-ahead run with Casey Martin, the freshman, stepping to the plate. Doubled his last time up. He's been on base 3 times today. Strike from Shunk. Casey Martin batting .412 over his last 8 games coming into today. 0-1 pitch. Ball hit in the air. That's playable. McGovern comes in, and the inning is over. So the Razorbacks strand their 10th man on base. We'll see if the Bulldogs can capitalize as they bat when we come back in the bottom of the 10th. We head to the bottom of the 10th inning. This is what Georgia did back in the 5th inning to reclaim the lead after the rain delay. McGovern on a 3-2 pitch, solid single into right field. And then the next man up was Michael Curry, and he knew what to do with it. Went down to get the fastball and sent it over the left field wall. At the time, putting Georgia up 7-6. And McGovern hits this one deep to left field down the line, and it is going to be a fair ball. McGovern had kind of stopped at first base, waiting for a signal from the third base umpire, who took forever. Dave Van Horn says, man, that was a foul ball. He wants him to take a look at it. It took forever for Ryan Moorhead to make the call. And McGovern, thinking that it was going to be a foul ball, had kind of slowed down around first base. Now, probably doesn't impact that he wasn't going to get to third base anyway, but that was a really slow call from Ryan Moorhead.
Yeah, he seemed unsure of himself on that for sure, and it was deep down that line. He's got a pretty good look at it. Let's see if we can see on this angle. I mean, that's going to be tough to overturn.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to be able to overturn that with the video evidence that's going to be available to you.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, a call could have gone either way. You had Kerstad out there saying foul. You had Martin saying foul down the third base line. But the one that counts is Moorhead, and he said fair. It did take him a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that my imagination, it just seemed like it took a long time for him to make that call. Even after the ball had hit, he was kind of like,
I was kind of on
double
McGovern.
thinking it, yeah.
I was on McGovern's page. I thought because it took so long that he was going to nonchalantly say foul.
Yeah.
But
another look at it. What you don't see is McGovern kind of slowing up around first base. Okay, ball hits. How long does it take for him to make the call? Now, this is, of course, in slow motion.
Boy, I think that might have been a foul ball. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, though, you know. And the call on the field was fair.
Okay, this is real speed. Let's see how delayed the call was. Maybe my imagination. Hits. Yeah, it took, I mean.
It definitely wasn't immediate.
Yeah, it was not an immediate call. And so everybody was kind of stopped in their tracks. Kerstad thinking it is a foul ball. Let's see, here come the umpires.
And it's a fair ball.
So McGovern is at second with a double. And I think the whole key right there is the call that was made on the field. There just wasn't going to be any video evidence other than what you were able to watch along with us. And you could see how close and how hard that would have been to call from a video standpoint. The best shot at it is Ryan Moorhead. I mean, he's got the best look of anybody in the ballpark other than Kerstad. So they're going to walk Michael Curry here, which, of course, is what I would do, too, because Patrick Sullivan is due up next and no longer Sasser. Nothing against Sullivan, but I'd rather face him than Curry.
No doubt, and I just wonder, Coach Strickland having a chat here with Sullivan, I wonder what he's going to do in this situation. Do you bunt him to get that winning run over to third base? We've seen difficulty in bunting Lowski. I think you almost got to let him just kind of swing away. The danger being the double play, of course.
So Curry aboard first and second. Of course, his run means nothing, so you put him on just to avoid pitching to him there. And here is Patrick Sullivan. And Evan Lee is warming up, a left-hander in the bullpen for Arkansas.
And I think the thinking there is if they do bunt Sullivan, probably walk Shepard, bring the lefty in to face Talley.
Sullivan is only 2 for 13 in conference play this year.
And Arkansas definitely anticipating a bunt. Corners both in.
And they're going to get it. But Sullivan takes a ball high. It's 1-0.
Well, I'll tell you what, McGovern had a chance there. With Martin charging in, he could have taken third on his own.
Yep. That's something to watch for here. Let's go back and look at that again. Watch third baseman Martin. See Wilson, the new shortstop, standing in behind McGovern. Curry's at first base, but McGovern's the run that counts. Bunt pushed down the third base line. Martin charges, throws to first. They got the out there. Everybody moves up 90 feet.
What a bunt by Sullivan there. Great execution. I think Martin had a chance to maybe see if that thing was going to roll foul. It looked like it was bunted pretty hard. I'm not sure if it would have stayed fair or foul, but I think when you're that close and you got the out right in front of you, you go ahead and take it.
Yeah, I think it would have been risky to let that thing roll any further.
Absolutely. A great bunt. Good execution there by Sullivan.
So let's see. Do you walk Shepard here to get to Talley and bring in the left-hander to face Talley? Yep, they're going to walk him and load the bases and get a force at every base. That more than the lefty-lefty matchup.
You get the force and you get the double play in order as well. It would be interesting to see with Wilson playing shortstop instead of Kenley, a little bit out of position there. If they play the infield all the way in to guarantee you cut that run off at the plate, or if you play for two in the middle.
And if I'm not mistaken, I had mentioned this yesterday, I don't think that the Arkansas pitching staff had issued any intentional walks this season. They've done it twice here in the 10th inning.
That's right.
So it's just a matter of situational. They hadn't been faced with it, but they have been here in the 10th, if I'm not mistaken. So bases loaded for Georgia. And L.J. Talley, who hit a grand slam a week ago tonight at Florida off Brady Singer, steps to the plate.
I'm not so sure they are going to go to the lefty right here, as Coach Van Horn is usually the one to make the pitching switches.
Right. And Wes Johnson, the pitching coach, is out there to talk strategy. This is going to be a skull session.
Yeah, it looks like they're probably going to play for two in the middle. if I read Coach Van Horn's sign language down there accurately, looks like they'll play for 2 in the middle and have the corners in to cut the run down at the plate.
Well, Talley's a guy that you want up there if you're Arkansas. He's rolled into 6 double plays this season.
Yeah, and it's a different situation here as a hitter. I mean, the last thing you want to do, you'd rather strike out than hit into that ground ball double play. So you're going to look for him to maybe try and get a little bit of lift on this, maybe stay on his backside a little bit more, get a little bit more uphill.
Fly ball wins it for you. The outfield comes in about halfway. Everybody pretty shallow in the outfield. So here we go. Georgia, a chance to clinch a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament with a base hit right here in the 10th inning and walk it off. McGovern, the winning run at third base. First pitch to Talley, hit back and out of play. Count goes 0-1.
You can see Shepard and Curry, they mean nothing. They're standing right next to the base. All they have to do in the situation is just get to the next base. I'm not even sure they have to do that if on a base hit.
Yeah, I think they do, actually.
Yep.
Because they could, theoretically, if they don't get there, they could be thrown out.
That's right. They could go third to second.
0-1, base hit, Georgia wins. And L.J. Talley will get the hero's shower as they chase him down in center field. L.J. Talley comes through with the game-winning hit. Georgia walks off Arkansas 8-7, and the Bulldogs have clinched a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, what a ball game. 2 good ball games between these 2 clubs. I think they're very evenly matched. A clutch hit there by Talley. And well played on both sides of the ball. Georgia just able to take advantage of that home, being the home team and getting last at bat.
Fun times for the Georgia Bulldogs as they will head to Hoover and not play until Wednesday. They don't have to play in the single elimination. It also opens the door for Ole Miss to pull even with Arkansas before the night is through atop the SEC Western Division. Georgia walks off Arkansas 8-7. L.J. Talley comes up with the big base hit.